Chapter 4463. The demonic youth was the first to move. The cloak behind him suddenly opened up, and countless black feathers fell out. They curled around the demonic youth's hand, and turned into a 2-meter-long pitch-black longbow. This bow was like a demonic bow. There were 2 ferocious crow heads on both sides of the bow. They opened their mouths, and their eyes were blood-red. It was as if they were alive. Poison Jade Arrow. He shot out, and endless poisonous smoke spread out, covering the entire cave. The cave was corroded, and it turned into a world of poison. In the endless poisonous smoke, a green arrow shot out, like a flying green crow. The power of God had reached 40,000. It was terrifying. The world of poison was a kind of divine staircase, and it was constantly corroding heaven and earth. Even Lin Ling felt his body being corroded, and his combat power decreased by 30%. Second stage. Lin Ling shouted. After fusing his innate talents, the sword in his hand slashed out horizontally. Rumble! The power of this sword was vast, and it actually cut the green arrow in half. The demonic youth's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect this person to be so strong. One had to know that even a god would find it difficult to block that sword, but this person in front of him easily slashed out with it. It looked as if he didn't need to use any strength. You're too weak. With this kind of strength you have the nerve to call yourself a demon king. You even dared to touch my people. Now you know regret. After cutting the demonic youth's sword, Lin Ling said coldly. It seemed like a casual sentence, but it was filled with a surging domineering aura. It's just an appetizer. Don't be too proud. The demonic youth sneered, and the bow in his hand shot out quickly. It was obvious that this bow was an extraordinary treasure. Demonic Tribulation Crow. Countless pitch-black crows shot out from the bow. They didn't shoot in a straight line, but flew in irregular trajectories like crows. Kill! Lin Ling pounced, and a sea of blood roiled. Rumble! All the crow arrows were destroyed, and they were unstoppable. It had to be known that the previous arrow had reached the power of 50,000 divinity, and Lin Ling's entire body was covered in poison. But none of this affected Lin Ling in the slightest. How can he be so strong? None of the outsiders in the Southern Memorial Temple have such strength. The evil young man's heart became even more serious, but in the blink of an eye, the blood sword had already arrived. Lin Ling pounced forward, holding the sword with both hands, and slashed down as if it was splitting the heaven and earth. This caused the evil-looking young man's pupils to constrict. This person was actually so fast. However, as the king of Southern Dipper, his strength was naturally no small matter. A black shadow flashed past. It was fast, incomparably fast, reaching the speed of 600,000 worlds. He was the evil young man. As soon as he moved, Lin Ling's sword slashed down on the spot. The entire cave and the world of poison seemed to collapse. True God Poison Chi. As for the evil-looking young man who dodged Lin Ling's sword, he twisted his body, looked at Lin Ling, and drew his bow to shoot an arrow. This arrow was like an arrow that shot down the sun in ancient times. The originally pitch-black arrow suddenly became scorching hot, and turned into a fire crow. Boom! It flew past like a fire phoenix traversing the void. Third stage. At the same time, Lin Ling let out a low roar. He sensed the extraordinariness of this arrow, and he displayed his strongest state, slashing out with his sword. It seemed like a slow movement, but it carried with it the origin of the great Tao of killing. It killed everything, as if it represented the ancient Tao of killing of the entire void. Rumble! After the fire phoenix-like arrow collided, it was split into 2 by Lin Ling. Then, in the billowing flames, a figure like the god of killing walked out step by step. It was Lin Ling. How can this guy's strength keep increasing? The evil-looking young man's pupils contracted as he watched Lin Ling walk over step by step. He suddenly felt the pressure in his heart increase because he knew that many powerful gods had come to the graveyard of the gods. However, those gods were all in West Memorial Temple, and the gods left in other places were very weak. However, he now knew that in South Memorial Temple, where he was, there was probably a supreme god coming. And this person was the god of killing in front of him. Kill! While he was still in shock, suddenly, a substantial killing intent came and enveloped his entire body. A life-threatening crisis descended upon him. This also made the evil-looking young man suddenly look forward. He saw that in the billowing flames, the god of killing figure was still moving forward, but soon, It became illusory like a reflection in water. It was an afterimage. On the contrary, behind him, an incomparably terrifying sword slashed down. This sword was a third-stage talent fusion, in addition to the steps of killing. In terms of speed, it was now 600,000 world speed. In terms of power of God, it had now reached 30,000. In terms of physical strength, it was now 4 million worlds power. This was the pinnacle of the pinnacle. The pressure of death enveloping him also made the evil-looking young man's face turn abnormally ugly. Only now did he realize that the young man in front of him had changed unknowingly. In addition to the blood-red hair, he was also wearing a gray robe. Powerful. Too powerful. This person was probably even more powerful than a god. How could this be? Unknowingly, he had provoked such an expert. In a short moment, several thoughts flashed through the evil-looking young man's mind. If he had known that the blood-red-haired man was so powerful, he would not have provoked him. But now, it was difficult to change the situation. Besides, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Chasing sun. All of a sudden, the evil-looking young man shouted in his heart. A pair of fiery red boots appeared on his feet. The boots were ancient, and when he stepped on the air, it actually caused the void to crack. At the same time, something strange happened. His speed suddenly skyrocketed and reached 1 million world speed. Then he dodged Lin Ling's ferocious slash. A speed of 1 million world paces was extremely rare even among late-stage low gods. And this was only the boosted speed of the boots. It did not include the evil-looking young man's own speed. In fact, in total, his speed had reached 1,600,000 world speed. Rumble. After the evil-looking young man disappeared, Lin Ling's slash missed as well. Moreover, his eyes continued to flicker. What incredible speed! Then, Lin Ling's gaze fell on the evil-looking young man's legs. He saw that when the boots stepped on the void, countless flaming footprints appeared in the void. It was magnificent and mystical. Come on, kill me, the evil-looking young man said coldly as he appeared on the other side. Then, he shot out a large number of arrows. Crows. Like countless crows, they flew toward Lin Ling, wanting to devour everything. Now that the evil-looking young man had erupted with incomparably terrifying speed, it meant that he no longer had to worry about his back. Lin Ling, on the other hand, could only be beaten up without being able to fight back. Kill! Lin Ling slashed out with his sword and cut off the crow's arrows. Then, he chased after the evil-looking young man. But unfortunately, he could not catch up to the evil-looking young man. Chapter 4464. Some of the arrows were sliced apart by Lin Ling while some landed on Lin Ling's body. This made the demonic youth very excited. However, in the blink of an eye, he realized that Lin Ling's body was very tough. He turned into sludge again, and all the arrows that landed on his body passed through him, causing very little damage. The chaotic body of the 4 great ferocious beasts. The demonic youth was shocked once again. This meant that even if Lin Ling did not retaliate, it would still be difficult for him to kill Lin Ling. What a tough bone to chew. After shooting a few more rounds of arrows, the demonic youth finally gave up completely. What happened before was my rashness. I'll apologize to you here. I'll return the person to you. We'll mind our own business. The demonic youth left that sentence and immediately flew into the distance. He did not plan to provoke the great demon Lin Ling anymore. Lin Ling landed on the ground and released little Kunlun to protect the girl. He then took a step forward and chased after the demonic youth. Lin Ling's murderous aura had not diminished. Therefore, how could he let the person he targeted escape? He would kill him even if he had to escape to the ends of the earth. At that moment, the demonic youth had already fled far away. Just as he let out a sigh of relief, an extremely terrifying murderous aura came from behind him. The murderous aura seemed to have materialized and was like a torrential river. Damn it! The demonic youth instantly knew that he was in trouble. The other party had no intention of letting him go. He even guessed that this murderous god could be an ancient great god that had been resurrected from the tomb of the gods. Run! The demonic youth exploded with terrifying speed and disappeared into the distance. He did not believe that the murderous god could catch up to him. After a long time, the demonic youth sat on top of an ancient tomb in Southern Memorial Hall, panting slightly. At this point, he had already been running for an hour. Based on his current speed, The god of slaughter should have lost track of him by now. With that thought in mind, he looked around and suddenly felt that something was amiss. He then realized that a strange jellyfish was floating on top of an ancient tomb not far away. The jellyfish was completely black and looked like a devil. It was staring at him indifferently. Who is it? Suddenly being stared at, the evil-looking young man's hair stood on end. He couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. Then, he finally thought of something. It was the god of death. Oh my god! What other tricks did this god of death have up his sleeves? How could he make a jellyfish monitor him? This meant that he had no chance of escaping. As he thought of this, the sea of murderous aura in front of him had already arrived. Fuck, the vengeful spirit is still lingering. The evil-looking young man cursed and fled without another word. The two of them, one in front and one behind, had almost run through the entire southern temple. Of course, the evil young man was also very cunning. He specifically searched for the forbidden old monsters that were hidden in the Southern Memorial Temple in an attempt to have those monsters kill Lin Ling. At the very least they could stall Lin Ling. But to Lin Ling, it was completely useless. Now that he had killed 1 billion human-faced ghost crows, the murderous aura had finally begun to weaken, but it had only begun. After a long time, the evil-looking young man couldn't hold it in any longer. This god of death wasn't as fast as him, but his defense and attack were strong. Coupled with the jellyfish monitoring him, he couldn't shake him off at all. Therefore, he decided to end this once and for all. After all, if this went on, he would die of exhaustion sooner or later. One had to know that the Quafu sun-chasing boots on his feet required a huge amount of divine vitality as the foundation in order to activate them. Moreover, if he used them for a long time, his body wouldn't be able to withstand it. "Sir, what are you trying to do?" Standing on a tombstone, the evil-looking young man looked at Lin Ling, who was walking slowly toward him. He was also gnashing his teeth. As the king of the Southern Memorial Temple and a demon left behind from the Age of the Gods, he had been chased through 9 streets. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't aggrieved. "Leave that pair of boots behind," Lin Ling said indifferently as he walked toward him step by step. "In your dreams," the evil-looking young man roared. "Do you know what kind of treasure these boots are? They are one of the 12 great chaotic divine artifacts, the Quafu sun-chasing boots. Legend has it that they were worn by the ancient Quafu sun-chasing boots. Even in the Age of the Gods, they are one of the best treasures. How can I give them to you?" Hearing this, Lin Ling didn't say a word and looked at him coldly. The evil-looking young man had a lot of thoughts in his mind, but he knew that if he didn't hand over the boots, the god of death in front of him wouldn't let him go. Therefore, he reluctantly gave them up. "Will you let me go if I give you the Quafu sun-chasing boots?" "No, I'll leave you a whole corpse." "Bullshit." After a short conversation, the evil-looking young man flew into a rage. He gave up the Quafu sun-chasing boots in exchange for a whole corpse. This god of death didn't intend to let him go from the beginning to the end. "The people I want to kill have never escaped alive," Lin Ling said again. He had already raised the sword in his hand and pointed it at the evil-looking young man. Now, he was like the representative of the underworld. He was so cold and merciless. "Then let's fight to the death. I'll see how you're going to kill me. At most, I'll waste my time like this. 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, I can afford it." The evil-looking young man threw caution to the wind and laughed. Since they couldn't reach an agreement, there was no need to talk anymore. Let's see who can outplay who. Seal. However, as soon as he finished laughing, Lin Ling coldly spat out a voice. The wind and rain from all directions enveloped this part of the world. It was as if the whole world was shrinking. On the other hand, the evil young man noticed that an indescribable force was pressing down on him, making it difficult for him to move. The most terrifying thing was that this force didn't have any offensive power. It only had the power to seal him, greatly reducing his speed and making it difficult for him to use the Quafu sun-chasing boots. It's the god stairs, and it's of the soul element. Judging from its level, I'm afraid it's too elementary. The evil-looking young man panicked, was shocked, and scared. He finally understood why this murderous god kept chasing him and didn't give up at all. This murderous god actually had a way to suppress him. He just needed the right opportunity. The 6 stages of the god stairs were elementary, Tao sense, dominator, grand elementary, ancient, and Taisher, eternal. The Grand Elementary was clearly more terrifying than the Dominator. This also meant that this murderous god's soul force had reached a terrifying level. Don't kill me. I'll tell you a secret. With his life at stake and his greatest advantage, his speed being suppressed, the evil-looking young man hurriedly begged for mercy. Shill. A sword slashed down, crazily reaping the evil-looking young man's life. Then, Lin Ling raised his sword and walked forward step by step. He found the fiery red boots on the evil-looking young man's corpse. I'm not interested in the secrets of the dead. After taking away all the treasures on the evil-looking young man, Lin Ling turned and left. Chapter 4465. 12 Chaos Divine Artifacts, the Quafu Sun Chasing Boots. Lin Ling held his sword and walked back step by step. At the same time, he looked at the treasure in his hand and was overjoyed. 12 Chaos Divine Artifacts. The Donghuang Bell that Xueqi had obtained was one of them. Now, he had obtained another one. Lin Ling did not expect that there would be such a pleasant surprise in the Southern Memorial Hall. Moreover, it was an unexpected and huge harvest because he knew very well what the 12 Chaos Divine Artifacts represented. The Quafu Sun Chasing Boots obviously did not have any offensive power, but it could increase one's speed by a terrifying amount. One had to know that speed was the most difficult domain for a god to improve. Generally speaking, it was already very impressive if one could increase one's speed by 100,000 worlds in one comprehension. However, the Quafu Sun Chasing Boots was far more than that. Chasing that crow has wasted a lot of my time. Let's find Empyrean Fairy first. Lin Ling did not have time to touch the Quafu Sun Chasing Boots for the time being. After keeping it, he ran in the direction he came from. Obviously, he was in a good mood. He even liked the feeling of killing and robbing. During this period of time, he had killed countless people and accumulated a large number of treasures. Many of these treasures came from the Tomb of the Gods and were extraordinarily powerful. After a long time, Lin Ling arrived at the place where he first came from. He saw a dense forest rising from the ground. That was Little Kunlun. Looking into the forest, he could hear the laughter of a young girl from time to time. The girl was riding on a white tiger and running wildly in the forest with an innocent look on her face. Seeing Empyrean Fairy, Lin Ling's killing intent weakened a little. Perhaps in the entire universe, only Empyrean Fairy could give him such a feeling. Uncle, you're back. The mystic fairy was all smiles when she saw Lin Ling. However, the white tiger that she was sitting on was trembling all over. This was because it sensed a murderous aura and blood aura that was even more terrifying than before from Lin Ling. Of course, Empyrean Fairy also quickly sensed the bloody aura from Lin Ling. Uncle, you've killed many people again. Empyrean Fairy said in surprise. She had followed Lin Ling from the Western Memorial Hall to the Northern Memorial Hall and then to the Southern Memorial Hall. She had witnessed Lin Ling killing countless people. However, this bloody aura was truly terrifying. Yes. Lin Ling nodded. He'd killed 1 billion human-faced ghost crows, and he'd killed countless others while pursuing the evil young man. So, his body was naturally filled with surging blood energy. It could be said that he'd transformed into an ocean of blood now. Let's go. We'll go look for Nandian to lay the foundation now. Lin Ling said again. Although the murderous aura in his body had weakened a lot, it still affected Lin Ling, causing him to be much colder than before. Of course, to Mystic Fairy and the others, this kind of indifference was much better than before. All right. The white tiger was still afraid of Lin Ling, but the mysterious woman smiled and nodded her head. With the young girl leading the way, Lin Ling searched for the Southern Memorial Altar. After spending an entire day, he finally found the Southern Memorial Altar's foundation. Now, all that was left was to lay the foundation for the East Memorial Hall. Great! I'm about to complete my mission. Seeing that the last foundation was about to be found, Mystic Fairy was undoubtedly very happy. This was because once she found the 4 great foundations for Lin Ling, her mission would be completed. After finding the 4 foundations, I can also obtain the souls of the gods. What's the souls of the gods? Lin Ling looked at the 3 foundations in his hand and frowned slightly. After a long time, the 4th foundation was also in his hands. With this, the 4 great foundations were also in his hands. Uncle, just combine the 4 foundation laying daras. Mystic Fairy instructed Lin Ling from the side. Meanwhile, Lin Ling also tried to combine the 4 foundations. After combining the 4 foundations, it turned into a single foundation. This foundation had a slightly different color. It had 4 colors intersecting with each other. There were also ancient runes on its surface that rippled slightly like water. The 4 foundations are combined. Looking at the foundation in his hand, Lin Ling's eyes flashed. "Uncle, try going in and have a look." At this time, Mystic Fairy said again. Then, she pointed at Lin Ling and a ray of light entered Lin Ling's mind. In the next moment, a large number of magic words appeared in Lin Ling's mind. "Open!" Lin Ling shouted in a low voice. The foundation floated down quietly and appeared in front of Lin Ling. It opened up an ancient door that looked like the door of a prison. Countless noises could be heard from within. Creak! After digesting the magic words that Mystic Fairy had given him, Lin Ling pushed the door open and entered. What was surprising was that after the foundation was laid, it was dark, as if they had arrived at a prison. A gloomy aura filled the air, and water dripped from the ceiling of the prison from time to time. If one looked carefully, they would see that it was a corridor with no end in sight. The 2 halves of the corridor were filled with prison cells, and there was a forest. When Lin Ling arrived, many heads popped out from the prison cells and looked at Lin Ling curiously. There were cow heads, dragon heads, elders, and children. Their eyes were filled with curiosity as they stared at Lin Ling, mixed with a strange murderous intent. It was just that the prison cells had trapped them, so they could do nothing about it. "This is inside the 4 foundations? There are so many souls of gods and demons locked up here." Lin Ling ignored the complicated looks and said indifferently. Through the magic words that Mystic Fairy had given him, he already knew where this place was. He also knew that the souls of gods and demons were locked up here, and it was impossible for them to break out of the prison cells. On the contrary, Lin Ling was the only warden in this prison. In this prison, other than the life and death of the souls of gods and demons, he could do whatever he wanted. Therefore, he was not afraid of these prisoners. Instead, he was curious about how strong the gods and demons were trapped in this prison that trapped the souls of gods and demons. He walked along the corridor and the prison cells on both sides of the corridor quietly changed color and turned blue. However, no prisoners popped their heads out of the prison cells. Instead, Lin Ling saw that some of the prisoners in the prison cells were sitting cross-legged in cultivation, some were drinking wine, and some were torturing themselves by constantly chopping off their own limbs. Their own limbs. Even when Lin Ling arrived, they did not even look at Lin Ling, which was very strange. These prisoners have become even stronger. I'm afraid they have the strength of a god. Lin Ling thought to himself and continued walking. Then, he seemed to have arrived at the 3rd section of the prison cells. When he looked carefully, the prisoners in the prison cells had become even more strange. There was a snake woman, a 2-headed witch, and even 2. A blind monk with a lantern and so on. "Sir, I beg you to let me out." A charming vixen looked at Lin Ling pitifully. Then, she exposed her shoulders and tempted Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling did not even look at her and continued walking. "This new sir is so cold. It seems that he is not easy to deal with." Chapter 4466. Hard times are coming. Look at how impartial he is. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to be released. Sigh. Someone else said. These prisoners were actually people who had been imprisoned here since ancient times. They were people who had committed heinous crimes. However, during the War of the Gods the prison was broken, causing them to be lost in the era. Even so, they still could not escape from the prison. Furthermore, they could not see the sun all year round, except for a certain day every year. Every year, they could be released from the prison and enjoy a day of freedom. Of course, this freedom was only limited to the prison. However, to the gods and demons, this day was incomparably precious. After all, being trapped in a space less than 3 meters in size and having all their means suppressed, even the gods could not bear the boredom and loneliness. However, a new warden had appeared. If they were to be deprived of that day's holiday, they could only continue to live like a year. Your Excellency, the person you're looking for is in West Memorial. You'd better hurry there immediately because I've performed a divination for you. Your loved ones are in danger. Suddenly, an old man's voice came from one of the prison cells. Lin Ling stopped in his tracks and looked over indifferently. Then, he saw a blind old man sitting in the prison cell. In front of him was a tortoise shell with a row of copper coins lined up in a row. Nonsense! Lin Ling sneered. Ha ha ha, I'm Lord Shen. My master is from the Hollow Jade Palace. For so many years, my divination has never been wrong. You're the first person to say that I'm talking nonsense. The old man suddenly laughed. Moreover, every divination I perform will shorten my lifespan by 10 years. Therefore, those who want to ask me for divination, regardless of whether it's in the ancient times or in the ancient times, are in the ancient times or not. Even if it's not in the hundreds of millions, it's in the tens of millions. I've spent 10 years of my lifespan to perform a divination for you, but you don't know how to appreciate my kindness. Lord Shen? Lin Ling's eyes suddenly flashed. He asked, who is Shen Gongbao to you? He remembered that in the investiture of the gods, Shen Gongbao and Jiangxia both came from the Hollow Jade Palace. This person's master was from the Hollow Jade Palace and his surname was Shen. Therefore, Lin Ling asked casually, how do you know my master? Who knew that Lin Ling's words made Shen Gongho's face change? Seeing his appearance, Lin Ling was more certain that this old man was Shen Gongbao's disciple. Let me ask you. You said that the person I'm looking for is In Shi Fan. Is he still alive? Lin Ling asked. Life and death, death and life. Without death, how can there be life? Shen Gongho said indifferently. The person you are looking for is no ordinary person. He is someone who changed the era. However, although he is dead, he is actually alive now. Lin Ling's pupils constricted when he heard this, because the person he was looking for was Lei Gong. Although Shen Gongho didn't say it explicitly, it clearly stated that Lei Gong was a person who changed the era, and Lei Gong was the host of the world's will. It was indeed so. Earlier, you said that my loved ones are in danger. Then, where is the danger? Lin Ling asked again. Ha ha ha. Shen Gongho laughed and said indifferently, if it was a moment ago, this danger would have been wiped out. However, at this moment, fortune and misfortune have changed. Great misfortune has turned into great fortune. What you mean is that without your reminder, my family would have been wiped out. However, after your reminder, they are all fine. Lin Ling's eyes flashed as he asked. Ha ha ha. This time, Shen Gongho didn't say anything and only laughed. However, Lin Ling already knew what he meant. It meant that without Shen Gongho's reminder, Lin Ling would have wasted more time here. However, now that he knew that Yu Yu and the rest were in danger, he would definitely rush over. Therefore, Yu Yu and the rest were all fine. They had escaped danger. Let me ask you again. How do I open this pair of boots? Lin Ling's previous worries had now been suppressed. The Quafu Sun chasing boots appeared in his hand as he asked. Sincerity can move metal and stone. The old man glanced at the Quafu Sun chasing boots with shock in his eyes. Then he said calmly, all right, I'll give you a day off. You can go wherever you want to go. After a day, come back on your own. Lin Ling nodded and turned to leave. At the same time, he formed a complicated seal with both hands. Then, a door appeared behind the prison cell and light bloomed from it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sensing this, the old man shouted in surprise. He bowed deeply to Lin Ling and pushed the door open to leave. He had been imprisoned for millions of years and could only face the cold iron walls every day. Now, he could finally leave. Although it was only for a day, it was enough. He had to cherish this day and enjoy it to his heart's content. Lin Ling watched Shen Gongho leave indifferently. Then, he planned to leave first to help Yu Yu and the rest. As for whether Shen Gongho would return, he wasn't worried because he knew that if Shen Gongho didn't return after a day, his soul would be destroyed and he would never be able to reincarnate. Sir, I also have something to say. At this time, a large number of voices came from the prison cell. Obviously, they were jealous when they saw Shen Gongho leave. However, Lin Ling didn't have time to care about them. There were so many people in the prison. If he talked to them one by one, he didn't know how long it would take. So, he went to help Yu Yu and the rest first. After leaving the prison, the Genji turned into a ray of light and disappeared into Lin Ling's body. Uncle, this Genji will follow you forever. If you use it well, it can help you return to the divine position and become famous in the chaos. At this time, Mystic Fairy looked at Lin Ling with a smile. It seemed that after helping Lin Ling, she had completed her mission and was no longer as carefree as before. Mystic Fairy, are you leaving? Lin Ling didn't have a hard time guessing her intentions. Yes, My mission has been completed and I have survived a great calamity. Now I have to go back. In the future, Uncle and I will meet again. Mystic Fairy nodded with a smile. Mystic Fairy, is the Chaos Realm very far away? Lin Ling asked again. It wasn't difficult for him to guess the origin of Mystic Fairy. It's not far, but it's not near either. It's in your heart. However, what made Lin Ling speechless was that Mystic Fairy was also speaking in riddles. Uncle, goodbye. But before I leave, I have to tell you that there will be a great calamity on this trip that can destroy your divine soul. That's why I came to help you. However, although the omen of great calamity has passed, there is still good luck in the future. So, Uncle, you have to be careful. Use the things that I have given you. Help. Mystic Fairy reminded Lin Ling at the same time as she rode the white tiger into the distance. Thank you. Lin Ling nodded and his eyes continued to flicker. He guessed that this trip to Shijian would be dangerous. Fortunately, Mystic Fairy also told him that it would be a daunting experience without danger. Just as I guessed, someone is secretly helping me. Chapter 44-67. Swoosh. A figure flashed through the sky like thunder. That surging killing intent bared its fangs and brandished its claws, as if it wanted to tear the sky apart. Sincerity can move metal and stone. This figure was Lin Ling. At this moment, he was thinking about Shen Gongho's words because he also found out that the Quafu Sun chasing boots was very difficult to refine. After all, it was one of the 12 chaotic divine artifacts. When the evil young man obtained it, he probably took a long time to refine it. If I can't use this pair of boots, it's just a pair of ordinary items. If I want to control this pair of boots, I have to send my divine vitality and soul power into the boots. However, the effect is not great. The boots are like a dead object. I can't move them at all. However, Shen Gongho said that sincerity can move metal and stone. Then, only by continuously communicating with this pair of boots will it be effective. With this thought in mind, Lin Ling separated one of his dantian of the dragon god talent and let the divine vitality in his dantian continuously enter the boots. He hoped that through patience, he could completely communicate with the boots. Look, who is that? His aura is so terrifying. I'm afraid he has the strength of a god. When Lin Ling flew across the sky, many gods on the ground saw Lin Ling and were shocked. Oh no, that's Lei Gong. Someone noticed Lei Gong and his expression changed greatly. However, although Lin Ling was very famous in the four palaces, there were still people who didn't know him. Therefore those people curiously said, Lei Gong is so strong. I really hope that I can have such strength in the future. He is strong, but Lei Gong is a god who kills people like scything flax. He kills people on sight. Run quickly. Those who knew of Lin Ling's fierce reputation began to flee. Those who didn't know were also shocked. Although they didn't know what was going on, they felt that something was wrong. Therefore they also quickly fled. What's going on? Tell us. As they fled, they asked. I remember that Lin Ling is one of the 4 great gods of the void of the 9 prefectures. Why did he become a murderer? You don't know about this? Let me tell you, after entering the sacred mountain, Lin Ling killed without hesitation. From the western memorial all the way to the northern memorial, everyone he met along the way was killed by him. Moreover, these were people who had no enmity with him. If he did, he would have chased them to the ends of the earth. What? It's over. We are the true disciples of Miao Shen. I heard that Lin Ling and Miao Shen's true disciples have a huge grudge against each other. The group of people who understood the situation were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. However, the killing intent in the sky was like an ocean. It was getting closer and closer to them, causing these people's faces to turn ashen. In the end, they gave up on running away. In fact, they were even prepared to die. However, when they thought that Lin Ling would make a move, the murderous aura in the sky quickly disappeared and actually floated into the distance. He didn't kill us. Those who escaped from the calamity felt as if they were dreaming. How could they know that Lin Ling only wanted to reach Yu Yu and the others as soon as possible? Moreover, he was wondering who was the one who made a move on Yu Yu and the others. After all, Yu Yu and the others had God Emperor Zhonggang and the others by their side. How could ordinary gods be a match for them? Fortunately, I met Shen Gongho. Otherwise, this matter would be troublesome. However, Although Shen Gongho said that the calamity has passed, there are always exceptions to everything. I have to be faster. Lin Ling's third phase talent fusion burst out with 600,000 world speed. Rumble. The Western Memorial was obviously much stronger than the other three. When Lin Ling flew past thousands of graves, it seemed to have awakened some monsters. On the ground, a huge coffin quietly emerged. A hairy arm stretched out from the coffin and suddenly grabbed at the sky. Come down for this, king. This arm did not look like a human's arm. It was covered with thick hair and looked very terrifying. Moreover, this attack was so terrifying that it probably had the strength not weaker than a god. It might even be stronger. Kill. However, Lin Ling did not even look down and ruthlessly slashed out with his sword. Although he knew that flying through the sky would definitely attract the attention of many demons in the graveyard of the gods, he was in a hurry. Therefore, he could not care less. Whoosh! When the sword landed on the huge arm, it actually slashed out endless green smoke. Moreover, the palm was not cut off by Lin Ling. Instead, the palm was cut open by Lin Ling. What a sharp sword! A hoarse voice sounded at the same time. Then, the arm retracted and disappeared into the coffin. Obviously, this powerful existence also knew that a sword could injure it. This meant that the gray-robed man in the sky was not to be trifled with. He probably had the strength to kill a god with a single sword. At least among the lower gods, there were very few who could block that sword. Even late-stage lower gods were not many. Of course, Lin Ling was also surprised because his sword could only injure the opponent and not kill it. This meant that the thing in the coffin was very powerful. The demons in the Western Memorial are indeed powerful. No wonder the Kurishin and the others have to be careful. Lin Ling thought to himself. Then, he checked the voice transmission talisman in his hand. After confirming Yu and the others' location, he increased his speed by a notch. It actually increased my speed by 50,000 world cycles. Then, Lin Ling was surprised to find that the Quafu sun chasing boots seemed to have a reaction. He immediately put on the boots and the divine energy in his dantian continued to flow into his boots. If it were other gods, they would not dare to do so easily. In the graveyard of the gods, divine energy was very important and needed to be used to guard against unexpected situations. However, Lin Ling had 7 dantians. If he consumed the divine energy in one dantian, he still had 6 dantians. This was also the reason why Lin Ling was not afraid of late-stage lower gods. At this moment, in the depths of the Western Memorial, waves of terrifying energy gushed out in all directions like seawater. Several people in green Taoist robes calmly looked at the center of it. It was Yu and the others. There was God Emperor Zhang Gang, the giant ghost, the radiant golden dragon, and Yu. And they were using their most powerful methods to resist the attacks from the sky. Above the sky, an ancient Buddhist lamp was floating, blooming with a gentle light. However, this light was also very domineering. When it pressed down, it brought with it a power that could destroy the heavens and earth and wipe out all demons and devils. This power was very strong. Even God Emperor Zhang Gang found it difficult to resist it. You people, who are you? Suddenly, a voice came from the ground. It was an Yuer's voice. Because God Emperor Zhang Gang and the others were using all their strength to resist the Buddhist lamp in the sky, they no longer had the energy to speak. You people should give up resisting. I can leave your corpses intact. In the sky, the few people looked at the ground indifferently. Their faces were expressionless as if they were rewarding Yu and the others. You are all late-stage lower gods and have rich divine energy. I'm afraid you have cultivated in this realm for more than 100,000 years. Why haven't I seen you in the void of the 9 prefectures? Chapter 4468. After Lin Ling left, they traveled together with the Kurishin. However, after traveling for a while, the Kurishin and Titanic Crescent God sensed a fierce battle ahead. Hence, he told them not to get close and left with the rest of the experts. Emperor God Zhang Gang and Giant Ghost were worried about Nan Wufeng Yu and wanted to go deeper. However, when they thought about Yu and the others, they slowed down and waited for Lin Ling. Who would have thought that they would run into this group of people? This group of people was extremely powerful and seemed to have come for Lin Ling. They attacked as soon as they saw him. If not for their numbers, they would have been wiped out long ago. Furthermore, they could sense that this group of people was not using their true strength. 9 continents void? Hearing in Yuer's words, the few of them looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with mockery. Don't treat the void of the 9 prefectures as the entire void, because the void of the 9 prefectures is actually a part of the divine realm, and the divine realm is a part of the chaos realm. In the real void, there are as many powerful gods as there are hairs on a cow. With your strength, if you were placed in our place, you would at most be an outer sect disciple. The likes of you. One of them smiled faintly. Is that so? Yu spoke with disdain. You talk so much, but you don't even dare to tell us where you came from. In my opinion, you must be a nobody. Are you trying to goad us? The person shook his head. The reason I didn't say anything is not because I'm afraid of anything. I just thought that even if I told you, you might not know who I am. However, since you want to know, then so be it. In order to prevent you from dying without knowing why, I'll tell you. We're from Burning Heart. My name is Duan Nan. As for what Burning Heart is, haha, it's much more powerful than your so-called 4 gods, the Dragon Clan, the Immortal Spirit Empire, the 10 Orthodoxies, and the U Continent's divine ruler, including the Spirit Empire. The man named Duan Nan said faintly. Burning Heart? Yu and the others racked their brains, but they had never heard of this name. In fact, other than the Immortal Spirit Empire, the Dragon Clan, the Spirit Empire, the 10 Orthodoxies, and the U Continent's divine ruler, they had never heard of it. You came from the Chaos Realm? Suddenly, Emperor God Zhang Gang roared. Didn't I tell you before? Or do you not know what the primal Chaos Realm is? Duan Nan laughed. I don't care where you came from, but since you dared to provoke Lei Gong, you will die without a doubt. As long as Lei Gong comes, you will definitely regret it. The radiant golden dragon also spoke. Hee, Lei Gong Lin Ling, right? We're so scared. Duan Nan continued to laugh. His laughter was full of sarcasm and disdain. I'm sorry, but we're here for Lei Gong Lin Ling. Our burning heart wants to capture him alive, and you're all his people. As long as you're dead, I think even if we don't look for Lei Gong Lin Ling, he will take the initiative to seek revenge from us. Revenge. All right, I've said all that needs to be said. Now all of you can die. Rumble. The Buddhist lamp in the sky shone brightly. Within the light, there was a Buddhist god with slender eyebrows sitting cross-legged. He was divine and extraordinary. Pop, pop, pop. The light was extremely terrifying. It actually carried a divine staircase. The power of the divine staircase was very domineering. It was like the Orthodox Buddhism. Boom. A rumbling sound was heard, and everyone under the Buddhist lamp was sent flying. A huge crater was formed on the ground. Looking around, countless graves were dug up. Coffins, tombstones, and white bones were tumbling in the sky. However, under the light of the Buddhist lamp, they were turned into ashes in the blink of an eye. Ashes. Puff. Yu and the rest fell to the ground and spat out blood. They felt their dantian rumbling as if it was about to collapse. What a domineering power. I'm afraid only 100,000 divine power can withstand it. Even Emperor God Zhang Gang fell to the ground. Beside him was the Golden Skeleton King. However, the skeleton on its body was full of cracks. Stubborn. In the sky, Duan Nan shook his head. He waved his right hand and a man immediately strode down. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Emperor God Zhang Gang. After laughing coldly, his big hand grabbed out. I can see that you are from the age of gods and your strength is not bad. Unfortunately, we are from the primeval age. That person's eyes were filled with disdain. He did not show any mercy when he attacked. I didn't expect to die here after reviving. Looking at this person's attack, Emperor God Zhang Gang sighed in his heart. He wanted to resist, but he could not raise his divine vitality. Therefore, he could only close his eyes and willingly accept his death. However, he thought that he would be killed, but after waiting for a while, he did not feel anything. Even the Golden Skeleton King, who was constantly worried about him, seemed to be silent at this moment. Could it be that this god killed his Golden Skeleton King first? He suddenly opened his eyes, but he found that the Golden Skeleton King, who had followed him for many years, was fine. It was still sitting beside him in the form of a little skeleton. However, its empty skeleton eyes were looking in front of him. The man in front of him maintained his attacking posture, but he did not move. Looking carefully, a sword appeared in his chest. A sword had pierced through his back. It was this sword that caused this god to be unable to attack anymore. Following this person's gaze, one could immediately see a gray-robed man standing behind him. At this moment, he was holding a sword and maintaining the appearance of the sword pointing forward. Lin Ling. When he saw the person clearly, Emperor God Zhongang's entire body trembled. Lin Ling had finally returned. Lin Ling. Yu Yu and the others also stared at Lin Ling and could not help but shout excitedly. Although they were about to die previously, they all had intuition that Lin Ling would definitely come. This intuition was baseless, but they firmly believed in it. Because they knew that they were the most important people to Lin Ling would not let them die. Lin Ling nodded. He had killed countless people in the other 3 palaces. Now that his killing intent had weakened a little, he could barely control it. At least, he would not want to kill his own people. Lin Ling? The few people in the sky also stared at Lin Ling. In fact, this was the first time they had seen Lin Ling. You are one of the 9 states void's 4 great gods, Lei Gong Lin Ling. Duan Nan said indifferently. He was a little shocked. He did not expect Lin Ling to come so quickly. It was as if he knew their movements like the back of his hand. Who are you people? Lin Ling raised his head and looked at them, but did not answer them. Burning heart. Duan Nan said calmly. Chaotic realm? Lin Ling instantly understood. However, he was also very suspicious. The people from the chaotic realm actually knew him? Moreover, from the looks of it, these people had specially come for him. However, he did not know anyone from the chaotic realm at all. Suddenly, he thought of Empyrean Fairy and the person who had helped him in the Eternal Kingdom. Chapter 4469. Maybe it was because of the Chaos Divine formula, or maybe it was because of some treasure, or maybe it was because of Lin Ling, or maybe it was because of Lin Ling himself. Of course, there was also a possibility that it was because of Lin Ling's previous life. Let go of my junior brother and come with us. Then, I'll spare their lives. Otherwise, they'll all die. Duan Nan didn't know what Lin Ling was thinking. Instead, he said this with a smile, looking very relaxed. Since Lin Ling was here, it was a good opportunity to bring him back and save him some trouble. Let go. Lin Ling raised his head, his face still cold. Don't worry, I'll let go. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly pulled out the sword in his hand and slashed horizontally. Rumble! A head fell to the ground and rolled like a rubber ball. Blood gushed out from the neck of the god who was killed by the slash like a fountain. Killing a god with a single slash was as easy as slaughtering a chicken or a dog. So powerful. The pupils of Emperor God Zhonggang and the others trembled. Previously, when Lin Ling killed the old locust tree, it took him many slashes to succeed. But now with just one slash. One should know that this person was a late-stage lower deity expert. Gods with such strength were the most difficult to kill, unless their strength was much stronger. How terrifying! Even the pupils of the light golden dragon and the others trembled. After all, when they were in the 72 caves, Lin Ling wasn't this powerful. But now, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. How could they know that when Lin Ling killed the old pagoda tree, he hadn't utilized the 3rd stage innate talent fusion, and he'd merely utilized the steps of slaughter? Now that he'd utilized the 3rd stage innate talent fusion, his strength was at its peak. Junior brother. Duan Nan and the others were all shouting, their eyes as red as blood. Obviously, they didn't expect that Lin Ling would dare to kill their people in front of them. He dared to kill people from the Chaos Realm. To the gods of the Chaos Realm, the void of the 9 prefectures was like the mortal world. Whether it was strength or age, it could never be compared to them. Let them go? Don't worry, I'll let them go. Duan Nan also remembered what Lin Ling said before. I'll let them go. But he killed them. Damn it. However, Lin Ling acted as though he didn't see Duan Nan and the others' anger. Instead, he came before Emperor God Zhonggang and took out a jade bottle. He said to Emperor God Zhonggang, "Open your mouth." Hearing this, although Emperor God Zhonggang was suspicious, he still opened his mouth. After that, Lin Ling dripped a drop of emerald liquid into his mouth. This liquid slid down his throat and quickly healed his injuries. This jade bottle was obtained by Lin Ling from one of the gods after he killed his way from West Memorial Hall to North Memorial Hall. As a matter of fact, he had killed people for their treasures, and now he had countless treasures on him. You guys open your mouths too. Lin Ling walked towards the others and gave each of them a drop. Amazing! What kind of treasure is this? Sensing that their injuries were recovering, everyone was shocked. After reaching the level of a god, it was very difficult to heal injuries with the god's spring alone. Unless one's own recovery ability was very strong, like Lin Ling's, otherwise, one could only rely on the accumulation of time. On this point, the bright golden dragon was an example, and so was Eugene. However, a drop of liquid was enough to heal 80% of their injuries. This was really shocking. Jade Cicada True Liquid. Looking at the treasure Lin Ling took out, Duan Nan and the others in the sky were also shocked, and their eyes were filled with envy. This kind of treasure was very rare. Even in the divine realm and chaotic realm, there were not many of them. Not only did it have the effect of healing, but it could also assist in cultivation. Of course, more gods only kept this treasure to heal their injuries. After all, the Jade Cicada True Liquid was not the only treasure that could replace cultivation. Damn it, such precious treasures are used by these trash. Moreover, where did this Lin Ling get these treasures? Duan Nan gritted his teeth and said, he probably got them in the graveyard of the gods. After all, there are many gods buried here, and some of the treasures were not taken away. So, Lin Ling got them by luck. Another person guessed. What an enviable guy. He's just a piece of trash from the void of the 9 states, but he has more treasures than us gods from the chaotic realm. Duan Nan nodded, but he was even more jealous. You guys are really stupid. At this moment, Lin Ling put away the jade bottle. He then slowly looked at Duan Nan and the others, and said coldly, stupid. Duan Nan immediately sneered and looked very suspicious. When I was healing them, you guys could have run away. If you were faster than me, you might have been able to escape. Of course, this hope is very slim, but it's still hope. However, you guys just stood there in a daze. If you're not stupid, then what are you? Lin Ling said. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Duan Nan and the others laughed. Although Lin Ling killed their junior brother was the weakest among them. Moreover, Lin Ling only relied on a sneak attack. Taking a step back, they still had 3 gods here. Whether they joined forces or fought one-on-one, Lin Ling was no match for them. Let me tell you, if we want to run away, you can't kill us. Of course we won't run away, because the one who wants to run away is you. After laughing, Duan Nan said contemptuously, can't kill you? Unless you have 2 million worlds and can reverse time and space, otherwise, I really can't kill you. Lin Ling said. Ha ha ha. Duan Nan and the others, who had just stopped laughing, reappeared. This Lin Ling, who was only a middle-stage lower deity, was really arrogant. 2 million world speed? It was already amazing for a late-stage lower deity to have 1 million world speed, let alone 2 million world speed. Even if we have 1 million world speed, you still can't kill us. Lei Gong Lin Ling, I didn't expect you to be such an arrogant person. You really surprised us. Duan Nan shook his head continuously, mocking Lin Ling for his lack of knowledge. Hearing this, Lin Ling did not say anything. 1 million world speed? Not long ago, the evil young man had 1,500,000 world speed, but he was still hunted down by him through 9 streets and was killed in the end. If he had 1 million world speed, it could only be said that he would die even faster. Lin Ling, run away. We won't be able to run away, not in this lifetime. Instead, you're the foolish one. If you don't run away, you'll be taken away by us next. After one of them laughed, he looked coldly at Lin Ling and was about to attack. Lin Ling allowed them to laugh. After they finished, he said slowly, you talk the most nonsense. If that's the case, I'll start with you. I'll start with you. His words made the eyes of the person who spoke narrow, and he almost laughed again. Did this Lei Gong Lin Ling think they were cabbages? That he could kill whoever he wanted? Just as he was about to speak, Lin Ling had already arrived and slashed with his sword. Swoosh! His head flew off and blood gushed out. With one slash, another deity was killed. Chapter 4470. Moreover, not only was Lin Ling fast, but he was also very strong. If the first person was killed by Lin Ling's sneak attack, Then the person in front of them was not like that. He died right in front of their eyes. Subconsciously, they all turned to look at Lin Ling. However, Lin Ling had already disappeared at some point. What? Everyone was shocked and panicked. A sense of unknown death lingered in their hearts. The unknown was always the most terrifying. They immediately unleashed their full strength and waited solemnly. Boom! At this moment, a roar sounded. One of them trembled as a punch landed on his chest. It was Lin Ling. This punch was extremely ferocious. Not only did it carry the strength of the flesh, but it also carried the power of the gods. Now that Lin Ling had 2 mid-god divine embryos, after fusing their talents, he was even more domineering. Whoosh! That god was stunned. He looked down and saw that his armor, inner armor, treasures, divine energy, and other items were spurting out of his back as if they had been hit by a gust of wind. Moreover, his divine embryo, the blood of the blue snake divine embryo of an 8th grade lesser god, had also been knocked out. Crack! Crackle! Crackle! The blue blood sprayed out in midair and then exploded. You! He looked up at Lin Ling and wanted to say something, but he could not utter a word. Plop! He fell from the sky. One punch. Just like that, a late-stage lower god had fallen. Ever since Lin Ling's 2 divine embryos had become mid-god, their strength had been different from before. Especially the strength of the flesh, after fusing, it could reach 4 million divine energy. If he used Split the Heavens, it could reach a terrifying 8 million divine energy. Ah! Finally, someone cried out, completely scared out of his wits. Now, there were only 2 people left. Whoosh! Lin Ling did not even look at him. He slashed horizontally with his sword, and the frightened man was cut in half at the waist. No amount of divine energy could protect him. To Lin Ling, without 100,000 units of divine energy and a mid-god's innate divine embryo, any late-stage low-god was not worth mentioning. Bang! Another person smashed into the ground. Dead as can be. It was as if these gods from the Chaos Realm were nothing more than clay chickens and pottery dogs. The wind was howling, and blood was flowing silently. Emperor God Zhang Gang and the others raised their heads and opened their mouths wide. They were so shocked that they couldn't say a word. Especially Emperor God Zhang Gang. He was the most shocked because back then in the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace, Lin Ling wasn't much weaker than him. Now that he had broken through, he thought that he would be stronger than Lin Ling. He had also made a breakthrough, and with his mid-stage low-god strength, he could easily kill a late-stage low-god. Clearly, the current Lin Ling was slightly stronger than him. How can this Lin Ling be so strong? Burned Heart asked us to capture him, but I'm afraid we can't do it. Duan Nan was the only one left. He was also shocked because even he couldn't kill his junior brother in one move. Therefore, he knew that Lin Ling had a lot of trump cards. Maybe he was talented, maybe he had terrifying divine energy, or maybe he had cultivated some kind of divine ability. Of course, what he didn't expect was that everything he guessed was true. It was because of these trump cards that Lin Ling could kill gods as easily as killing dogs. Now, do you think you're stupid? At this time, Lin Ling turned to look at Duan Nan. Duan Nan took a step back when Lin Ling looked at him. He frowned and said, "What do you want?" "What do I want?" Lin Ling laughed and shook his head. "You came from the Chaos Realm. Although I don't know what your purpose is, you want to capture me and kill my people. Now that you're no match for me, you still have the nerve to ask me what I want? Or are all the gods in the Chaos Realm so stupid? Are you so arrogant? However, I don't need to explain anything to you. I've killed countless people, and you're just one of the souls that died under my sword." Duan Nan's face turned even uglier when he heard that. He had come with confidence, but now his life was threatened. Suddenly, Duan Nan looked hysterical and shouted, "I don't believe that you, a middle-stage lower deity, can be so strong. I came from the Chaos Realm and have cultivated for 8,970,000 years. I've fought countless battles in my life, a total of 100,000 battles. How can I be afraid of you, a junior from the 9 prefectures void? Go to hell." He opened his hands, and the ancient Buddhist lamp in the sky floated over and shone brightly. The Buddhist lamp had a divine staircase, and it was as sacred as the great Buddha's hall. "Lin Ling, be careful." Emperor God Zhang Gang and the others had been defeated by the Buddhist lamp, so they immediately warned him. Crackle, crackle. The ancient Buddhist lamp floated toward Lin Ling, but it strangely disappeared and reappeared under Lin Ling's feet. The Buddhist flame burned through Lin Ling's feet and burned into Lin Ling's brain. The power of the flame was also incomparably tyrannical. Lin Ling, I've decided not to capture you anymore. This time, I'll take your life. Looking at the Buddhist lamp chasing after Lin Ling, Duan shouted. Let me tell you, this lamp was given to me by my master. It's a chaos divine tool that has been consecrated in the heart ignition realm. It's not something a small character like you can resist. You don't understand the antiquity of the chaos realm. Lin Ling also noticed that the Buddhist lamp was chasing after him relentlessly. A Buddhist power poured into his soul, and it was wild and unruly, as if it wanted to subdue Lin Ling. How ancient is it? At this time, Lin Ling finally spoke. He knew that the steps of slaughter couldn't resist the Buddhist lamp. Although the steps of wisdom could seal it, it couldn't destroy the Buddhist lamp. This meant that it was useless. Only Pangu could attack. Split open the sky. Lin Ling slowly stretched out his palm, and a wisp of ancient power spread out with a domineering aura that could split open the heavens and earth. Then he gently slashed down. The domineering aura of splitting open the heavens against the domineering aura of Buddhism. Rumble. As the palm slashed down, the power of 8 million worlds erupted with an unprecedented aura. It was the most ancient aura of the primordial era. Boom. The candle flame of the Buddhist lamp began to flicker and jump. Then, the Buddhist flame was split in half, and the entire Buddhist lamp was split in half. Whoosh! Endless Buddhist flame began to sprinkle on the ground, as if it wouldn't be extinguished for 1,000 years. Ah! Such a scene made Duannan's jaw drop. Why is it like this? He kept shaking his head, and he couldn't figure it out. Because my palm is even more ancient than it. Lin Ling took a step forward and came before Duannan. He looked at him coldly and said, I don't know why your so-called heart ignition realm wants to capture me, but I can tell you that no one can control my life. With that, he slashed out with his sword. The sea of blood drowned Duannan, and the latter cried out in pain. Lin Ling, you can't escape from the heart ignition realm. We're not the only ones who want to capture you. Chapter 4471. Lin Ling. Seeing Lin Ling walking over, Emperor God Zhonggang and the rest were delighted. Yu and the rest ran over but were stopped by Lin Ling. Yu, senior sister I'm dirty. I don't care. However, Yu and the rest did not care. They pounced on Lin Ling and hugged Lin Ling. Lin Ling smiled helplessly and allowed his 2 wives to hug him. Lin Ling seems to have calmed down a lot. Yeah, but the murderous aura on his body is still very strong and his blood chi is scarier than before. I'm afraid he has killed quite a number of people during this period of time. Emperor God Zhonggang and the rest were talking. After a long while, they saw Lin Ling walking over. They smiled and walked over. Then, they told him what had happened not long ago. For the Kurishin not to underestimate the battle, it must be very intense. How about this? You guys leave first and I'll go take a look alone. Hearing what Emperor God Zhonggang and the rest said, Lin Ling pondered and said, That won't do. Let's go together. Emperor God Zhonggang and the rest immediately shook their heads. Yu and the rest can't participate in the battle over there. Seeing Yu and the rest leave, I'm worried. So, I have to trouble Emperor God Zhonggang and the rest to send them back. We'll gather at the valley outside the 72 caves. What do you think? Lin Ling said. In actual fact, he had sent Emperor God Zhonggang and the rest away because he had heard from Mysterious Lady that Lin Ling was about to face a great calamity. This calamity was unavoidable. So if Lin Ling stayed with Yu and the rest, he would only implicate them. Of course, Lin Ling naturally did not dare to say it out loud. Because if he said it out loud, Yu and the rest would not leave. Moreover, if Grandpa Treasure God isn't still inside, how about this? As long as we find Grandpa Treasure God, the 2 of us will immediately rush back. Lin Ling said again. Hearing what Lin Ling said, Emperor God Zhonggang and the others nodded their heads in the end. Lin Ling also gave them a large amount of treasures, saving them the trouble of searching for treasures everywhere. After that, Lin Ling took his leave. Brother Ling, you have to be careful. We'll be waiting for you in the valley. Yu and Inuera shouted as they watched Lin Ling leave. Don't worry, I will be fine. Lin Ling disappeared into the distance. At the same time, he was wondering what this burning heart was. The last time he saw the sacred generation primogenitor, he was from White Mountain. What was the connection between Burning Heart and White Mountain? Rumble. Along the way, violent rumbling sounds could be heard. Lin Ling could not help but slow down and sneak forward. Then, on top of a hill, Lin Ling stood there quietly. Wherever he looked, it was as if the sky was collapsing and the earth was cracking. The sky was constantly collapsing, and the void was like glass falling down continuously. It was a beautiful scene. Moreover, rays of light soared into the sky. Sensing them carefully, those rays of light were mixed with the power of gods. There were close to 100,000 rays of light. So many experts. This is a true battle between gods. Lin Ling was secretly shocked. He quietly extended his soul power and immediately discovered that there were not many people in this shocking battle. He estimated that there were about 20 to 30 people, but all of them had monstrous strength. Lin Ling recognized many of them. Kirishin, Titanic Crescent God, Ox Demon Patriarch, Nanwu Fengyu Treasure God, Black Dragon, Elder Foshan. There was also Lord Ning of the Spirit Nation. Beside him were two unfamiliar faces, and their strength was also very ferocious. As for the others, it was Lin Ling's first time seeing them. But soon, he saw an acquaintance. It was the Dragon God of the Dragon Valley. The person fighting against him was very powerful. From their conversation, Lin Ling knew that this expert was the monarch of the immortal spirit nation, Immortal Unhegeman. That is. Suddenly, Lin Ling's pupils trembled as he saw a mysterious person with a strange body and a smile on his face. Lin Ling had already seen this person before. That was because he was the great god of the spirit nation. He never thought that even the great god of the spirit nation would come. Lin Ling had also seen the person fighting against him. It was a dirty old man, and he was Taoist Myriad Treasures. Taoist Myriad Treasures had entrusted Lin Ling to find the iron box, but who would have thought that he would also come? That old fox. Lin Ling suddenly had a feeling that Taoist Myriad Treasures already knew the secret of the iron box, but this secret was obviously not what he wanted. That was because the world will host recorded in the iron box was Longmyang, the great god of the spirit nation, Taoist Myriad Treasures, and the others are all here. This means that the experts here must be dealt with by them personally. Lin Ling did not act rashly. Instead, he quietly observed. Then he discovered that other than the great god of the spirit nation and Taoist Myriad Treasures, there were two other experts fighting. Their strength was also incomparably terrifying. Those should be the experts from the Chaos Realm. Lin Ling stared at the two experts. Only then did he realize that with his strength, it would be difficult for him to interfere in this battle. But since he was already here, Lin Ling did not plan to return empty-handed. The host body of the world's will. They should have come here because of this. But what is strange is why so many people are so curious about the world's will. Logically speaking, the birth of the world's will shouldn't have anything to do with them. Unless they have a way to obtain the host body of the world's will. I guess that's the case. The world will host is a product of the destruction of the world. In the future, it will definitely become the strongest existence of the era. If one obtains the world will host, it will also mean that they will become the strongest existence of the era. Lin Ling kept guessing as he stared at the battle in front of him. The battle became more and more intense. Finally, at a certain moment, an old man unleashed a powerful technique, causing the earth to shake and countless bones to roll out. Among them, a stone tablet slowly emerged. The stone tablet was 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide. It was shrouded in fog, but one could still vaguely see it. There were blurry words. This stone tablet clearly recorded the world will host. At this moment, all the battles came to an end. All the experts stared at the stone tablet with burning eyes. It's mine. The great god of the spirit kingdom was the first to rush over. His speed was incomparably terrifying. As for the world will host, it was obvious that no one knew what it was. Because of this, everyone wanted to know this secret. According to legend, there were a few world will hosts with extraordinary potential. If one could devour and refine them, they would become the world will host and their strength would greatly increase. Although after devouring them, one would have to shoulder the world will's destruction mission, every man for himself. As long as one could become powerful enough to create a world, who would care about the destruction of the world? Who would care about the death of others? Great God of the Spirit Kingdom, You are already the world will host. If you devour this world will host, I'm afraid you will surpass yellow and become a red world will host. At this moment, someone blocked the great god of the spirit kingdom. It was Taoist master of many treasures. Chapter 4472. That's not necessarily true. Unexpectedly, Taoist Duobao smiled faintly. Then the two of them started to fight crazily. Neither of them wanted the other to get the steel and find the next host body of the world's will. It's said that the higher the level of the host body of the world's will, the more terrifying its hidden power is. That steel is extraordinary. I'm afraid its level is not low. Even if I can't get the location of the host body, my talent will be greatly enhanced by the power of the clouds on the surface of the steel. The patriarch of the Ox Demon clan was also eyeing the host body of the world's will. Naturally, they had come for the power on the surface of the steel. Snatch it! Then the patriarch of the Ox Demon clan transformed into a huge black ox and rushed forward. Along the way, he crushed countless bones. Get lost! However, soon, a powerful expert blocked him. This person looked unfamiliar, but he seemed to be a god from the void of Jojo. Fight! The same thing happened in other directions of the steel. The expert's attacks caused countless bones on the ground to explode and rush into the sky. However, no one could get close to the steel, let alone take it away. They are fighting in the abyss of suffering. This is my chance. At this moment, on the distant hill, Lin Ling's eyes were burning. However, he also knew that it would be very difficult to snatch the treasure from the hands of such experts unless he had the speed of 2 million worlds. Damn it! The speed provided by the Quafu Sun chasing boots is too weak. Could it be that I can only watch them snatch the steel? Lin Ling secretly clenched his teeth. He was determined to get the host body of the world's will. After all, he had a feeling that he would have to fight with the host body of the world's will sooner or later. Therefore, it was better for him to take the initiative now. Moreover, he also sensed that the clouds on the surface of the steel seemed to be an extremely rare treasure. He couldn't miss this opportunity. Right, the Empyrean goddess told me to pay attention to the Four Directions prison. There are countless gods and demons in the prison. Maybe someone can help me. With that thought in mind, Lin Ling hurriedly performed a technique. A foundation-laying technique floated out of his body, and he entered it. Drip, drip, drip. The gloomy prison was dripping with water. From the depths of the prison, groans could be heard from time to time. Being in the prison, the pressure was immense. They had to endure the pressure of the ancient gods and devils. Lin Ling, with his hands behind his back, calmly walked past the prison. As he walked, he said, "Who among you knows how to use the Quafu Sunchaser boots? Tell me, and I'll give you a day off." Give me a day off. Sir, please let me out. I don't know. Get lost. All sorts of noises could be heard coming from the surrounding cells. There were the cries of demonic beasts and the cries of foxes. There were all sorts of strange sounds. Lin Ling's face was expressionless as a jade slip appeared in his hand. This jade slip was formed from divine yuan. After that, Lin Ling's gaze swept over it, and he immediately headed deeper into the cave. As a prison officer, he naturally knew the background of every prisoner through investigation. Therefore, he didn't ask any more questions after he had investigated the area. He went to search for it on his own. Through the Jade Slip's introduction, he discovered that there was a descendant of the Quafu clan in the square prison. If he could borrow a drop of this person's blood, he might be able to refine the Quafu Sunchaser boots. After a long time, Lin Ling finally stopped. He turned around and saw that in a cell on the left, countless stones were scattered around. A one-armed old man was carving something with a knife. Dao dragonfish. During the Age of Gods, it ate the heavenly Dao fruit and killed the descendant of a great figure. Therefore, it was sent to the square prison and can never leave. Lin Ling calmly said as he looked at the old man. However, the old man didn't pay any attention to Lin Ling. He was still carving. The things he was carving were all sorts of strange things. There were trees, mountains, cities, and even children. However, after carving, the old man would destroy his work and carve again. This cycle repeated over and over again. Lin Ling even knew that the old man had maintained the posture of carving for millions of years. I want a drop of your blood. Lin Ling didn't hide his purpose and went straight to the point. The old man remained silent and ignored Lin Ling, I'll give you a day off. Lin Ling said again. Let's go, prison master. I don't know what you're talking about. As for a day off, haha, I'm not interested. I think it's quite good here. It's quiet here with no one to disturb me. The old man finally spoke. His voice was very polite, but there was also a hint of rejection. One had to know that in the square prison, there was no one who didn't want to leave. Who knew that the old man wouldn't care? It's fine if you don't want a day off, but I need a drop of your blood. Lin Ling said. What use do you have for my blood? I'm just an old man in the mountains. Even my blood stinks. The old man refused with a smile. Is there no room for negotiation? Lin Ling finally frowned. He was really at his wit's end when he encountered such an unconventional person. Haha, prison master. Don't bully me. If you want my blood, then come in and take it yourself. I promise I won't resist. The old man stopped carving and looked at Lin Ling with a smile. On the other hand, Lin Ling remained expressionless. He knew that the old man was laughing at him, looking down on him, and even feeling disdainful towards him. If he, Lin Ling, wasn't a prison officer, the old man probably wouldn't even be bothered to speak a single word to him. Because it was obviously impossible to enter the prison and steal the blood. Although Lin Ling had the authority to punish, it was only punishment and not blood. If Lin Ling entered the prison, with his strength, Lin Ling would only end up dead. At least 70% of the God-fiend souls in the square prison were stronger than Lin Ling. There were even some felons who weren't God-fiend souls, but powerful God-fiends from the primordial era. Even Lin Ling didn't dare to approach them. I'm not very good with words. If I've offended you, prison master, please punish me. At this moment, the old man spoke again. However, Lin Ling didn't make a move. He had a feeling that this old man was a tough nut to crack. Even if he used the prison to deal with him, the latter might not compromise. Lin Ling looked coldly at the old man and planned to leave. From the previous jade slip, Lin Ling knew that there were many god-fiends who could help him refine the Quafu sun-chasing boots. It was just that those god-fiends were stronger and more difficult to deal with. Now this old man called Dao Longyu had obviously rejected Lin Ling, so Lin Ling didn't want to waste time here. After taking a few steps, Lin Ling suddenly frowned and recalled the scene from before. He remembered that the old man seemed to be carving a girl. Lin Ling formed a seal with both hands and a jade slip appeared in his hand. There was more information about the old man in it. Looking at it quietly, Lin Ling suddenly smiled and turned back. Chapter 4473. I want your blood, and I want you to beg me for it. Lin Ling put his hands behind his back and said calmly to the old man. The old man was stunned for a moment, then burst into laughter. He could sense that the prison officer wasn't very strong, so it was impossible for him to ask for his blood. It would be impossible for him to do so in his entire life. However, who knew that the prison officer was young and ignorant and had the nerve to say that he would beg for it himself? Who would be so stupid as to beg for their blood? The old man couldn't be bothered to say more and continued to carve his stone sculpture. Your granddaughter, Dao Plain Maiden, will face her tribulation in 10 days. She won't be able to survive this tribulation. Tomorrow is also the wedding day of your 632th generation descendant. Lin Ling said suddenly. Dao Plain Maiden. The old man, who had been nonchalant, felt as if he had been struck by lightning. The stone sculpture in his hand cracked completely because of his absent-mindedness. Plain Maiden is still alive. Is she still alive? The old man rushed to the cell and looked at Lin Ling anxiously through the bars of the cell. She's still alive. She survived the twilight of the gods and has been living in seclusion in the southeast corner of the broken realm of the gods. She's one of the rare survivors from the age of the gods. Lin Ling looked down at the old man and said, Good, good, good. It's good that she's still alive. The old man's eyes became hazy with tears and his body trembled with excitement. Lin Ling looked at him expressionlessly because he had seen the old man carving a stone sculpture. The sculpture was of a girl. He then checked the information in the jade slip and found out that the old man had a granddaughter before he was sent to prison. This granddaughter was called Dao Plain Maiden, and she was the old man's most beloved granddaughter. However, her time is up. She has about 10 days left. At this moment, Lin Ling spoke again. Sigh, Plain Maiden hasn't become a mid-level deity after all. Hearing that, the old man was a little absent-minded and thought of that naive child. He had spent countless years in the square prison and had come to terms with everything. If there was anyone he couldn't let go of, it would be his granddaughter. Fortunately, you didn't end your line. At least you have countless descendants. Tomorrow will be a joyous day for your descendants. Lin Ling said again. What are you trying to say by suddenly telling me all this? The old man suddenly raised his head. However, after meeting Lin Ling's eyes, he discovered that Lin Ling was still expressionless and dignified. He didn't even deign to say another word. Don't tell me you want to let me go? That's impossible. How can someone leave this prison so easily? The old man frowned, and then his expression changed drastically. No, you're a prison officer. You have such authority. Suddenly, he became excited and looked expectantly at Lin Ling. Lin Ling was still looking down at him. Although I have this right, it doesn't mean that I will let you go. That's all I have to say. Goodbye. With that, Lin Ling turned around and left. The old man instantly became anxious and shouted, Wait, I promised to give you a drop of blood. Give me a few days off and let me accompany my granddaughter in her final days. However, Lin Ling didn't stop and continued walking forward. I can give you 10 drops of blood essence. I can sense the aura of my clan on you. You want to use my blood to refine a treasure, right? I can help you refine that treasure. I beg you, please accept my 10 drops of blood. Seeing Lin Ling walking further and further away, the old man was completely flustered. He knew very well that once Lin Ling left, he would be left in a cold and merciless prison. He would never see his granddaughter again. Now, he only wanted to see his granddaughter. Even if he could see her from afar, he would be satisfied. Thump. He knelt down and kept kowtowing. Give me 10 drops of blood and help me refine the Quafu Sun chasing boots. If you can do it, I will give you enough time off to see your descendants off. At this time, Lin Ling appeared in front of the old man again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The old man kept kowtowing with tears in his eyes. He finally understood what Lin Ling meant. Because he really did beg Lin Ling to accept his blood. I will give you 1 hour. If you can't refine the Quafu Sun chasing boots, your leave will be cancelled. Lin Ling left a pair of Quafu Sun chasing boots behind and strode away. Half an hour. The old man muttered to himself. Then, he didn't dare to waste any more time and quickly started refining. After Lin Ling left the prison, he appeared on the hill again and witnessed the earth-shattering battle in the distance. Fortunately, although the battle was terrifying, no one had obtained the stone tablet. All the gods were restraining each other. I hope I can hold on for 1 hour. Lin Ling thought to himself and then waited quietly. After a long time, 1 hour passed and Lin Ling returned to the prison. At this time, the old man personally handed over the Quafu Sun chasing boots. Although he knew that this pair of boots was left behind by their ancestor and he should take it back, he knew that Chu Feng was a prisoner. Now that he was a prisoner, even if he could obtain the boots, what use would it be? Therefore, he wholeheartedly helped Lin Ling to refine the boots and gave Lin Ling 10 drops of blood essence. These 10 drops of blood essence would allow Lin Ling to use the Quafu Sun chasing boots 10 times and increase his speed by 2 million world speed. In addition to Lin Ling's own speed, he would have a speed of 2,500,000 world speed. Chapter 4474. Lin Ling held the stone tablet and rushed forward. Then, with a slap of his right hand, a golden gourd appeared. This gourd was obtained by Lin Ling from killing others. It was suitable for storing things. Staring at the huge stone tablet in his hand, Lin Ling used his divine energy and tried to absorb the mist on the stone tablet. This mist seemed to be an extremely rare treasure. Gulyalu. Under the guidance of the divine energy, the mist seemed to be sucked in, turning into a vortex and entering the gourd. It's effective. Lin Ling was overjoyed. Then, he held the stone tablet and rushed forward. Looking from afar, there were flaming footprints in the sky. However, one couldn't see the person clearly because the speed was too fast. In the end, only a beautiful trail of flames was left in the sky. Walala! Lin Ling's speed was so fast that when he flew past, it formed a violent shockwave that uprooted many ancient tombs on the ground. In the blink of an eye, Lin Ling had already rushed to an unknown place. However, that ferocious speed was also constantly decreasing. At this moment, on the other side, that earth-shattering battle was still going on. The momentum was vast and mighty. From time to time, lightning would soar into the sky and illuminate the entire ground. These gods were crazily displaying their might on this piece of land, forming tsunamis, tornadoes, and thunderstorms that swept across the entire land. Every corner of the land was covered. Not good. Suddenly, an old man exclaimed. That voice was so loud that it was like thunder. From this, it could be seen that he was truly shocked. The stone tablet is gone. When his next sentence floated out, time seemed to have stopped. All the battles stopped. Everyone looked at the land of withered bones, and when they saw that it was completely empty, they were all dumbfounded. Because the host body of the worlds had actually disappeared. Who is it? An angry roar rang out like the wrath of the heavens. They were fighting in an abyss of suffering, and someone actually stole the stone tablet right under their noses? Waves of anger and panic rose in the hearts of the gods. They looked at each other, as if they all thought that the other party had stolen the stone tablet. It can't be us. We were all paying attention to each other. If someone had taken the stone tablet, with our strength, how could we not notice it? That's right, no tricks can escape our eyes. Unless someone explodes with terrifying speed and steals the steel when we're distracted. Voices rang out one after another. The great god of Spirit Nation, Taoist of many treasures, and Kurishin all had grave and ugly expressions on their faces. He felt as if he had been toyed with. However, since he dared to toy with the deities, one had to admit that this person was quite capable. Furthermore, he was quite courageous. Look, there are footprints. Suddenly, someone pointed into the distance and said. In the distant sky, there were flaming footprints that extended all the way to the horizon. As expected, someone stole the steel while we were fighting. And from the looks of it, it seems like it happened half an incense stick's worth of time ago. However, this person's speed is terrifying. No matter who it is, we must catch him. The deities' expressions were cold and indifferent as they chased after the blazing footprints. An incense stick's worth of time ago was already enough for the gods to accomplish many things. However, they believed that they were strong enough, so they were confident that they could catch up to the steel thief. Rumble! The deities spread out and used their own methods in an attempt to take back the steel. At this moment, Lin Ling seemed to be leaping through time. However, he also noticed that the speed brought to him by the Quafu Sun chasing boots was gradually decreasing. This also made Lin Ling sigh softly. Although the Quafu Sun chasing boots had been refined, he still couldn't control it. As the saying goes, where sincerity reaches, even metal and stone will split. Unless Lin Ling could move the Quafu Sun chasing boots with sincerity. Oh no, they've discovered me. Soon, Lin Ling also noticed the changes behind him. This was because he had secretly left many evil ghost jellyfish along the way. Now, those evil ghost jellyfish had discovered him. I didn't expect so many deities to be chasing after me. Lin Ling smiled. Although he knew that trouble was coming, for some reason, he actually felt a sense of excitement. What's the host of this world will? Then, Lin Ling stared at the steel, intending to memorize the engravings on the steel and then throw it down. The engravings on the steel were very mysterious. Lin Ling had clearly memorized them, but when he turned around, he forgot everything that he had seen before. Damn it, it's this kind of trick again. Lin Ling knew that the steel had been sealed by someone with great magic power. Since I can't throw the steel down, I'll have to avoid the pursuit of these deities first. Lin Ling used 2 drops of blood again and then rushed forward with all his strength. Time passed quietly just like that. Lin Ling rushed forward at a terrifying speed. He didn't know where he was now. However, the deities behind him seemed to have disappeared. It's you. However, just when Lin Ling was rejoicing, a cold voice suddenly sounded. Then, a man with an awe-inspiring evil aura blocked his way. This person was tall and slender. His long hair was spread out, and his body was almost transparent. However, one could see that there was a mysterious power flowing within his body. His face was even more strange. One could not see his face, only a smiling face. It was the Spirit Nation's great deity. Lin Ling, it's really you. Although the Spirit Nation's great deity did not have any facial features, he quietly looked at Lin Ling. Any deity would feel their scalp tingle when they were looked at by him. If Lin Ling's strength had not increased greatly, he would definitely be affected. Lin Ling cursed in his heart. Then, he smiled faintly and said, as expected of the spirit nation's great deity, "Even with my speed, I couldn't escape from your control. Lin Ling, last time in Spirit Light City, you ruined my descent. Then in the Spirit Nation's island, you caused havoc there. At that time, I knew that one day in the future, I would meet you face to face. But what surprised me was that this day came so early." The Spirit Nation's great deity said, "However, I see that you're a talent, so I'll give you a chance. Join the Spirit Nation and I'll spare your life." Hee, when I was so weak, I didn't even plan to join. Now, do you think it's possible? Lin Ling smiled and shook his head. Seeing the Spirit Nation's great deity again, he no longer felt the same pressure as before. This also showed how much his strength had increased over the years. "I know, so I'm just asking. Because, if you refuse, I'll kill you. You won't have the chance to regret it." The Spirit Nation's great deity nodded and spoke again. His eyes were fixed on the stone tablet in Lin Ling's hand. "Leave the stone tablet to me." He stretched out his hand and a terrifying force of the god's steps gushed out. Although Lin Ling could not tell what the god's steps were, he could feel that the power of the god's steps was more terrifying than his steps of wisdom. As expected of the Spirit Nation's great deity. So strong. Lin Ling was shocked. Chapter 4475. If you can get it, I'll give it to you. The tyrannical song sword appeared in Lin Ling's other hand, and he slashed out fiercely. The blood sea instantly surged. A third-stage talent fusion sword was so terrifying. "I heard that after entering the Ji Air Ox cave, your strength greatly increased, Lin Ling. Now that I've seen it, it's indeed extraordinary. Your strength is on par with the four great gods." The great god of Spirit Nation exuded a dignified aura. Obviously, he was also very surprised. Absolute strength. However, this made him even more determined to kill Lin Ling. The Dominator stage of slaughter, coupled with divine power and physical strength, although it's very strong, it's still not enough for me to pay attention to. However, what surprises me is how did you cultivate, Lin Ling? How did you reach the mid-god level with both your talents? Moreover, you can actually fuse them. However, after killing you, I'll know everything. He stretched out his hand, and the god stage of slaughter was very domineering. It turned into a whirlpool and swallowed Lin Ling's blood sea sword. Pop, pop, pop. Between the two, the void was constantly shattering. The entire earth and sky were shaking at the same time. A destructive force rushed toward Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling to spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale. Too strong. This god stage of slaughter was too domineering. Then, Lin Ling sensed a whirlwind wrapping around him. Stage of wisdom. At such a crucial moment, Lin Ling no longer hid his methods. The stage of wisdom was sealed. Splash! The two god stage of slaughter collided, and the sound of turbulent waves came out. Then, the spiral wind that enveloped Lin Ling seemed to weaken a little. No. It should be the speed that slowed down a little. I can't seal it. Lin Ling was shocked. He didn't expect that he could only slow down the force and not seal it. I didn't expect you to be hiding the Soul-type God Stairway. According to legend, the Soul-type God Stairway is the hardest to cultivate. It has the power to seal all things. Unfortunately, your Soul-type God Stairway is only at the Grand Beginning and Eternal level, while mine is at the Grand Beginning and Eternal level. But even so, you have surprised me once again. I have a new understanding of your potential. This height is very terrifying. It's a pity that if it were other things, I can give in to you. But the will of the world will absolutely not allow that. You will never know this water. How deep is it? The great god of Spirit Nation said in a low voice. How deep is it? Lin Ling sneered and shouted. Do you think you're still the same as before? Do you think the Spirit Nation is the strongest? What do you think the Chaos Realm is? What do you think White Mountain is? What do you think Burning Heart is? Don't think that I don't know anything. His words caused the great god of Spirit Nation to shudder and fall silent. I didn't expect you to know so much. But, go to hell. After that, the great god of Spirit Nation seemed to be enraged and wanted to kill Lin Ling. Sky-splitting slash. At the critical moment, Lin Ling could only erupt with the powerful Pangu strike. Rumble! As the strike landed, it was as if the heavens and the earth were split apart. The absolute power unleashed by the great god of the spirit nation was also split into two. Then, it disappeared into time and space as if it had disappeared forever. Sure enough, you've obtained the Pangu strike. Moreover, you've succeeded in cultivating it. Go to hell. The great god of spirit nation was enraged. His body disappeared on the spot and appeared in front of Lin Ling in an instant, grabbing out with his palm. His speed was too fast. Even if Lin Ling had the Quafu Sun chasing boots, he still couldn't react in time. Bang! Lin Ling's neck was gripped. The two of them floated in the sky. The great god of spirit nation looked coldly at Lin Ling, causing the atmosphere to be very oppressive. The great god of spirit nation seemed to be hesitating about something. But soon he made up his mind. He clenched his fist and wanted to end Lin Ling's life. Bang! However, at this moment, a palm suddenly grabbed the great god of spirit nation's wrist. Then, a mysterious person in a thunder cloak stood between the two of them. Rumble! After this person appeared, dark clouds, lightning, and thunder covered the entire sky. It was as if this person was the thunder of the great Tao of the void. The entire ground was bombarded by lightning from time to time. The 100-feet-thick thunder also wreaked havoc in the firmament, the void, and the ground. Terrifying. You can't kill him. Amidst the earth-shaking thunder, an old voice floated out. Although it was quickly drowned out by the thunder, the voice was incomparably clear and ear-piercing. What a terrifying power of thunder! Although Lin Ling couldn't see this person clearly, his heart was pounding. Among the people he knew, it seemed that only Grand Wizard Chong Liang had such power of thunder. However, Lin Ling had a feeling that this person wasn't Grand Wizard Chong Liang. If this person doesn't die, he will definitely be our great enemy in the future. The great god of spirit nation said indifferently. He seemed to be familiar with this person. Perhaps. However, with his various miracles, he might be with us. The mysterious person in the thunder cloak said. I've thought about this before. However, if my guess is wrong, with this person's potential, if we allow him to grow, I'm afraid we won't be able to suppress him in the future. Therefore, I'm not willing to take this risk. Moreover, even if he's with us, who can guarantee that he'll join us in the future? His camp. The great god of spirit nation said coldly. Listening to their conversation, Lin Ling's heart was pounding again. This was because the great god of spirit nation had guessed that he was with them. Did this mean that Lin Ling was also a host body of the world will? Although the great god of spirit nation wasn't sure, this guess still shocked Lin Ling. No matter what, you can't kill him. As if knowing that it would be difficult to convince the great god of spirit nation, the person didn't waste any more words and only stood firm on his position. Noticing this, the great god of spirit nation fell silent and seemed to be hesitating. In the sky, the three of them stood there quietly. From their bodies, terrifying power bloomed and wreaked havoc in the entire sky. No matter how one looked at it, the three of them were top-notch existences in the void of the 9 states. All right, I'll give you face. Finally, the great god of spirit nation let go of Lin Ling's neck. However, he also reminded, whether this kid has the same origin as us or not, in the future, he will definitely stand on the opposite side of us. At that time, I'm afraid we won't be able to shake him. These are all just guesses. The mysterious person in the thunder cloak replied calmly. The great god of spirit nation nodded and looked at Lin Ling, saying, Hand over the stone tablet. Then, without waiting for Lin Ling to speak, a powerful force erupted and snatched the stone tablet from Lin Ling's hands. Fine, I'll give it to you. However, I reckon that you won't be able to see this stone tablet. Chapter 4476. The 7th world will host body has finally appeared. I'm really looking forward to seeing who this person is. It's said that the last 3 world will hosts are existences that surpass the ancient era. They are even more ancient. If they are reincarnated, I will definitely devour them. The spirit nation great god looked at the stone tablet in front of him and suddenly became excited. Even Lin Ling looked at the spirit nation great god indifferently because he was also very curious about who the last 3 world will hosts were. After all, everyone knew how terrifying a world will host was. Among the 10 world will hosts, there would definitely be one that would dominate the entire era. What? Even I can't remember the world language. However, just as the great god of the spirit kingdom wanted to memorize the runic words, he failed as well. It was as if the seventh world will host was a taboo of heaven and earth. I don't believe it. However, the great god of the spirit kingdom intended to decipher these runes on the spot. He began to recite some ancient words in his mind. There were many of them, so Lin Ling and the Thunder Cloak Man were quietly listening. White Mountain, Burning Heart, Deng Exin. However, after the Spirit Nation great god read out the three names, a terrifying power suddenly brewed in the sky. Then, a palm ruthlessly slammed down. Boom! Before the palm landed, heaven and earth shook. Even the Spirit Nation great god was suppressed to the point of spitting out a mouthful of blood. He then looked at Lin Ling, who was already injured, and now he was even more injured. However, Lin Ling couldn't care less. He stared at the slowly descending palm in the sky. Although the speed of the palm was slow, it carried the majesty of heaven's will. It's the power that killed the sacred ancestor. Lin Ling's heart trembled violently. Rumble! At the same time, the stone tablet that recorded the world will host was smashed into powder by the palm. Then, a powerful force flooded out and slammed Lin Ling and the other two into the ground. Rumble! The terrifying aftershock didn't end there. It covered the heavens and the earth and obliterated everything. At this moment, no matter if it was the sky, the earth, or even space, they were all completely obliterated by the energy of the Grand Tao laws. After a long time, a huge palm print was engraved on the shattered ground. The palm print was so big that it seemed to stretch as far as the eye could see. If a person stood in the palm print on the ground, they would not be able to sense where they were. Only when one was at the highest point in the sky would they be able to see the palm print on the ground. Tao Palm. Moreover, within the huge palm, a large number of rock valleys appeared and were carved into ancient characters. The secrets of heaven must not be revealed. What happened? What a terrifying power! Many gods were floating in the distance from the palm, and when they saw the scene before them, their expressions were extremely grave. Even though the destructive power was weakening, it still gave them a huge sense of pressure. This made them realize that a powerful god had interfered in this matter. The secrets of heaven must not be revealed. This meant that the seventh world will was a host body. This matter was extremely important, so it couldn't be leaked. Why? And in the middle of that gigantic palm, the great god of Spirit Nation stood there silently, constantly letting out roars of indignation. He was even more aware that someone was not letting him know about the seventh world will's host body. This also meant that the world will's host body wasn't simple at all. Did they interfere in this matter? Suddenly, the great god of Spirit Nation looked at the sky. His gaze seemed to pass through the endless void and landed on the Chaos Realm. Obviously, he also knew that the strongest existence in the host body of the world will was actually in the Chaos Realm, sealed by countless ancient gods. It was also because of this that those ancient gods could not interfere in the matters of the void of the 9 continents and the broken god world. But now the Chaos Realm had interfered, which meant that something big must have happened in the Chaos Realm. Rumble! The buzzing echoes continued to float in the distance. Rumble! On the ground, the soil tumbled, and then a wretched figure slowly crawled out. It was Lin Ling. What a powerful move. It's the power that killed the sacred ancestor. Lin Ling also looked at the sky. But unlike the great god of Spirit Nation, he felt that the one who had attacked wasn't anyone, but the seventh world will's host body. And this person was from the Chaos Realm. The reason why Lin Ling had such a guess was that the great god of Spirit Nation had mentioned Bai Shan, Burning Heart, and Deng Exin. If he remembered correctly, the sacred ancestor was from Bai Shan, and the person who had killed him not long ago was from Burning Heart. These people were obviously against the ancient gods of the Chaos Realm. After all, the ancient gods were helping Lin Ling, but these people wanted to harm him. Therefore Bai Shan, Burning Heart, and Deng Exin were most likely the seventh world will's host body. But this world will's host body didn't want others to know this secret, so it had sealed everything. This person must be an extremely famous figure among the ancient gods. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sealed the secret. Duan Nan, who came to capture me, had the power of the Buddha god in his lamp. Could it be that the seventh world will's host body is related to Buddha? And a very famous existence among the Buddha gods? In Chinese mythology, there are many famous Buddha gods, such as Guanyin, Tathagata, and even the victorious fighting Buddha. I just don't know who the seventh world will's host body is. Lin Ling secretly guessed. Of course, this was only his guess. I didn't expect to be injured so badly this time. Then, Lin Ling checked his body and found that a domineering force was torturing his whole body. It was the absolute power left by the great god of Spirit Nation. Lin Ling took out the Jade Cicada True Liquid and dripped a few drops. Then, he suddenly looked into the distance and saw a figure slowly walking over from the ground that had been destroyed. Every step he took caused thunder and lightning to fall, lighting up the sky. Lin Ling's face turned pale. Pah! Lin Ling quietly clenched his fist. In the midst of the thunder and lightning, he, who had always been calm, finally lost his composure. This was because he had finally guessed the identity of this mysterious person. After all, there were only two gods that he knew of who had the power of thunder and lightning. One of them was the ancestral witch, Chong Liang, and the other one. Lord Lei Gong, you're still alive, Lin Ling said calmly as he looked up at the figure that kept walking over. However, his voice was trembling, indicating that he was not calm at all. Hee hee. A bitter laugh suddenly sounded. The mysterious person in the distance took off his hat and revealed an old face. And he was the Lei Gong from the Great Hall of Lei Gong. I've always been curious about who would save me from the great god of Spirit Nation. Now, all these doubts are explained. Chapter 4477. It must be the great god of Spirit Nation who resurrected you. Lin Ling pondered and guessed. The great god of Spirit Nation had the ability to resurrect others. Therefore, Lei Gong's resurrection was most likely related to him. Lin Ling, nothing can escape from your fiery eyes of truth. Lei Gong came before Lin Ling and smiled with relief. This was because the last time they'd met Lin Ling, even though Lin Ling had been strong, he hadn't been strong enough to face the gods. Now, however, Lin Ling's strength had increased greatly, and he already possessed the strength to not fear the gods. Especially when he was fighting with the great god of Spirit Nation, Lei Gong clearly sensed the great god's fear of Lin Ling. Lei Gong, are you still Lei Gong? Lin Ling smiled helplessly and said. He could feel that there was a mysterious power in the Thunder God's body. This power might have come from the Spirit Nation, or it might have come from the Thunder God himself. After all, he was one of the hosts of the will of the world. Sigh, it's a long story. Lei Gong seemed to have something hard to say and shook his head. Seeing this, Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He had wanted to persuade Lei Gong to return, but now he did not think so. This was because he had a feeling that Lei Gong had his own choice, his own decision. No matter what Lei Gong chose in the end, even if it was the world will, in Lin Ling's heart, Lei Gong was still Lei Gong. Taking a step back, based on how Lei Gong had risked his life to save him, Lin Ling knew that Lei Gong had not changed. Come. Lei Gong led Lin Ling forward. The two of them seemed to have endless things to talk about. Their previous relationship was that of superior and subordinate, friends, and even more like master and disciple. The two of them continued to talk. After a long time, Lei Gong stopped and looked at Lin Ling with a faint smile. Seeing you grow, I'm completely relieved. With Lei Gong Hall in your hands, I believe it will not decline. Lord Lei Gong, are you really not coming back? If Saint Guy knows that you're back, he will be extremely happy. Lin Ling finally persuaded. What's the use of coming back? I'm no longer Lei Gong, but the host of the world will. This is something that the entire 9 regions knows. Lei Gong let out a long sigh. He felt that fate was playing tricks on him. He had spent his entire life fighting against the will of the world, but in the end, he had become the host of the will of the world. So what if they know? Why care about other people's opinions? Lin Ling persuaded again. As long as Lord Lei Gong comes back, I will still be under Lord Lei Gong, and Lei Gong will still be Lei Gong. After living for so long, I don't care about other people's opinions. Therefore, I don't care about other people's opinions. It's just that I can't get over myself. Lei Gong said. Hearing this, Lin Ling stopped persuading him. He suddenly had a feeling that perhaps the reason why Lord Lei Gong did not come back was that he was using another method to fight against the world will. Lin Ling, with the appearance of more hosts of the world will, the 9 regions void is no longer safe. You've seen it before. The host of the world will is related to the Chaos Realm, so you have to protect yourself. I have a feeling that the 9 regions void will welcome more God Masters soon. Also, you have to be careful of the immortal spirit nation, the 10 orthodoxies, and the U-continent divine ruler. Although these 3 divine gates are not comparable to the spirit nation, they are not to be underestimated. They are the forces left behind by the god realm. Now, for the host of the world will, they have also surfaced. Sigh, although the world will host carries the mission of destroying the world, every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. At some point in time, if you can kill the world will host and take everything from it, you can also become one of the strongest existences of the era. This is a shortcut, and for this shortcut, the gods will not care about the heavens. Everyone. Lei Gong sighed. Lin Ling nodded. Previously, the gods were fighting for the stone tablet not to find the next host of the world will and kill it, but to gain benefits from the host of the world will. Every man for himself and the devil takes the hindmost. This was a principle that would never change. Also, you have a grudge against Luli Empress. However, she is not dead, or rather, she is already dead. The current her is the real her. At this time, Lei Gong said again, and his words shocked Lin Ling. Luli Empress was not dead? Damn it! He should have known that the spirit nation had the ability to revive her. However, it could be said that Luli Empress was already dead. The one who survived was no longer Luli Empress, but another expert created by the spirit nation. No matter what, if I have the chance to meet her, I will end her. Lin Ling took a deep breath and said, "That's good. This is a grudge between you and her. Although she has been revived, perhaps this was not her intention. She did not want to be revived, but the spirit nation did not have the choice. So when we meet again, you should help her on her last journey." Lei Gong nodded and looked deeply at Lin Ling. He then smiled and said, "All right, I should go back. Lin Ling, to be able to see that you have completely grown up, I am completely relieved. Goodbye. Lei Gong, we will meet again." Seeing Lei Gong leave, Lin Ling smiled and waved his hand. Lei Gong did not say that he hoped that the next time they met, they would not be opponents. This meant that Lei Gong was not helping the spirit nation, but had his own plans. After Lei Gong left, Lin Ling pondered for a moment. He then stomped his foot and sank into the ground, sitting cross-legged. A golden gourd appeared in his palm. He gently opened it and a dragon-like mist spread out. This was the mist that he had obtained from the stone tablet. Lin Ling sensed that this mist was very mysterious and had unprecedented power. Most importantly, even with the golden gourd sealing it, the mist was quietly dissipating. So Lin Ling had to seize the time to refine it. After sitting cross-legged, Lin Ling circulated the Chaos Divine formula and the mist surrounded his body. Then, the mist flowed into his body and sprinkled in his 7 dantians like golden rays of light. It can't increase divine energy. It can increase soul power and the divine embryo's talent. Lin Ling sensed it and was overjoyed. Currently, there were many treasures that could increase divine energy, but there were very few that could increase the divine embryo's talent. One must know that the last time he was able to increase his chaotic body in the ancient tomb was because he had encountered the chaotic world. Not only could the mist increase the divine embryo's talent, it could also increase soul power. Treasures that could increase one's soul force were even rarer. Use it to increase soul power, and use the remaining mist to increase the divine embryo's talent. Lin Ling instantly made up his mind. After the battle with the great god of the spirit nation, he knew that his rank of wisdom was still too weak. If he could improve it, he would not have been so passive the last time. Chapter 4478. Lin Ling suddenly felt his entire body relax, an incomparably comfortable feeling. His soul seemed to have been sublimated. Moreover, he discovered that this dense energy was extremely ancient, as if it had existed since ancient times. As it continued to increase Lin Ling's soul force, there were no side effects. As his soul force continued to increase, Lin Ling also felt a mysterious melody enter his mind. It was as if he could hear the sound of all things, and even the breathing of the shattered divine world. Soul force. In fact, it was also a type of willpower. All things in the world had their own willpower. Some had strong willpower, while others had weak willpower. Without a doubt, those with strong willpower had tough souls. However, if their souls also had strong willpower, then their soul force would be incomparably powerful.
Unfortunately, even if some martial fanatics had formidable soul energy, it was only the strength of their body and heart of the martial Tao that was formidable, and it wasn't the strength of their soul energy that was formidable.
So, even though they possessed formidable soul energy, they were unable to strengthen their soul energy. Since ancient times, all things have their own willpower. Little grass has its own willpower. Their firm growth, regardless of the wind and rain, is only for the sake of survival and growth. This is their willpower. However, this willpower is still very weak in front of the gods. However, when the will of all things converges, the strength of this will cannot be underestimated. Countless thoughts appeared in Lin Ling's mind.
It was as if he had seen the inheritance of a will. As for his soul force, it continued to increase, gradually reaching the 150,000 step mark. In the end, this mushroom-like growth completely slowed down. Not long ago, the great god of Spirit Nation said that my step of wisdom was at the very beginning, the beginning of everything.
But now, I have a feeling that my step of wisdom has already surpassed the beginning stage. Just a little bit more and my step of wisdom will reach the immemorial stage.
Lin Ling was inwardly pleasantly surprised. Although he had 7 divine embryos, he had a feeling that the most invincible was still the step of wisdom. This was because the step of wisdom could ignore the grade of the divine embryos and forcefully seal the opponent. On the other hand, the divine embryos did not have this ability. However, the divine embryos were the foundation of a martial artist's strength. Only by having a strong divine embryo could one go further. The world of gods was filled with endless mysteries. It was different from a martial artist that wasn't at the level of a god. This was because a martial artist that wasn't at the level of a god could develop in various fields. For instance, if one's talent was ordinary, then they could cultivate their martial arts will. However, that wasn't the case for the cultivation of a deity. Every major domain was indispensable. Otherwise, one would be stuck in a bottleneck, unable to make a breakthrough even after 1,000,000 years. To put it bluntly, this was also a matter of foundation. If one wanted to increase their cultivation level, then they had to accumulate enough foundation. This time, my soul force has actually reached 150,000 steps. This dense air is truly mystical. It's a pity that it's too little. I'll leave the remaining dense air for my talent. However, there isn't much dense air left. What talent should I use it for? Lin Ling fell into deep thought. Right now, his chaotic body and wraith jellyfish were both mid-level gods, and they had almost reached their limits. Which of the remaining 5 divine embryos should he upgrade? This was a headache for him. I'll upgrade the Vajra Bodhi then. This talent and the Bodhi testimony divine art complement each other. If I can upgrade my talent, the benefits will definitely be great. Lin Ling finally came to a decision. He controlled the remaining dense air and poured it all into the Vajra Bodhi's dantian. At the same time, he constantly visualized the Bodhi testimony divine art. Right now, his Bodhi testimony divine art had already reached the 4th stage. He was only a step away from the 5th stage. Purple Bodhi's Vairocana, boundless Tathagata aura of the 4 directions. However, after his soul force had greatly increased this time, Lin Ling's cultivation of the Bodhi testimony divine art had clearly sped up. An old voice resounded in his mind. Purple Bodhi. This was also the last Bodhi. When this purple Bodhi appeared, the other Bodhis also silently flickered. Red Bodhi's heavenly sovereign Shu. 6 paths of myriad movement wind and cloud. Yellow Bodhi's 1,000 hands Guanyin. Guanyin's 1,000 hands shake the universe. Blue Bodhi's Sin Sea Dragon King. Divine Dragon Claws slay demons. Black Bodhi's Wrath King. Thunder Wrath shatters the void. Purple Bodhi's Mahavairocana. Boundless Tathagata aura of the 4 directions. A majestic and sacred aura, like that of a Mahavira's hall, quietly emanated from Lin Ling's body. At this moment, it was as if he had transformed into a Vajra. The 5-colored Bodhi's body bloomed, and the 5-colored Bodhi started to flow out of his body and slowly swim into one of his dantians. Then, it formed a seed in his dantian. A Bodhi seed. At this moment, Lin Ling's physical strength, which was originally 2,000,000 worlds, suddenly increased to 500,000 worlds. His power of divinity also increased by 10,000 streaks, and his foundation was 20,000 streaks. As for his speed, it had increased by 100,000 worlds, reaching 600,000 worlds. If his talents were combined, he could reach 700,000 worlds. After the upgrade of the Bodhivadra's talent, the help it brought was actually in every field. It was extremely rare. Whoosh! After an unknown period of time, Lin Ling exhaled a mouthful of air. His eyes opened, and they were like an angry Vajra. His body trembled slightly, and the entire ground shook. It was as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. My strength has increased by 20%. Lin Ling nodded in satisfaction. A god's breakthrough depends on accumulation and foundation. Now, I've accumulated quite a lot. Then, he stood up and wanted to return to the small valley. However, just as he moved, he sensed a few figures walking slowly on the ground. Most importantly, he knew all of them. I didn't expect to meet her. However, her strength has increased by a lot. Lin Ling's lips curled into a smile. He took a step and shot towards the ground. At this moment, several figures were walking slowly on the ground. Their auras were like thunder, and their every move was filled with the domineering aura of a god. This was especially true for the burly man in the lead. He was like a demon king, and the air he breathed out could form tornadoes. Longyang, it's great to see you again. On the other hand, a blue-haired man grinned as he followed a woman behind the burly man. Based on his practically flattering appearance, it was obvious that the blue-haired man was pursuing the woman. However, the woman was very cold to him. Even though she didn't ask the man to fuck off, anyone could discern that she was clearly very impatient with the blue-haired man. Actually, even the robust man had noticed this, but there was nothing he could do. Because he'd noticed that the woman's background wasn't small, and her current strength wasn't weak at all. Even though she couldn't compare to him, she'd at least surpassed his precious son. A good man that could support the heavens and the earth couldn't even compare to a woman. Actually, it was a great humiliation. Therefore, he allowed his son to flatter him as much as he wanted.
Chapter 4479. It was a pity that they couldn't tell the girl's true strength.
However, the girl knew very well that she wouldn't be of much help to the young clan leader now.
Ever since she went to that place, she was no longer the same person she used to be. She was even looking forward to meeting her enemy and displaying her true strength in front of him. She wanted him to know what level she had reached.
Is that so? Then I'll have to thank your young master.
The girl smiled and said insincerely. Clearly, she was just being polite. However, the demons were slow to react and thought that the girl was very reliant on the young clan leader. Generally speaking, if a girl was reliant on a guy, it would be a great opportunity for the guy. Unfortunately, only the blue-haired man knew that Longyang was just being polite. Miss Long, didn't you want to catch that Lei Gong?
With the young clan leader's current strength, that Lei Gong can only kneel and kowtow when he sees the young clan leader.
Suddenly, a demon with a snake head said with a smile.
Is that so?
Could it be that the current Lei Gong is no match for the young clan leader? Hearing the two words Lei Gong, the girl's lazy expression suddenly turned serious. She seemed to want to know the answer.
The blue-haired man was a little embarrassed because he knew that the current Lei Gong was even stronger than him.
Of course, in order not to embarrass himself in front of his sweetheart, he patted his chest and said, "Of course, I can defeat a mere Lei Gong in less than 3 moves."
Really?
Hearing this, the girl seemed to be a little excited. If that Lei Gong Lin Ling was even weaker than the young clan leader, then that meant that Lin Ling was no longer her match. This also meant that the battle between her and Lin Ling could finally end. Thinking of this, the girl revealed a beautiful smile. She couldn't wait to see that annoying guy. It's true. If you don't believe me, you can ask my father. The blue-haired man was afraid that the girl wouldn't believe him and quickly asked his father to testify. His father was also a little embarrassed. With Lin Ling's strength, let alone his son, even he might not be able to defeat him. However, the current Lin Ling was nowhere to be found, so who cares about him? Of course. How can a mere Lei Gong be a match for my son? Moreover, I've already seen that Lei Gong. His strength has indeed not increased by much. Thinking of this, the burly man also let out a deep voice.
Great.
Hearing this, the woman no longer had any doubts. Right now, what she wanted the most was to see Lin Ling immediately and defeat him. And she was Longyang. Longyang, don't worry. I'm here. If that Lei Gong dares to appear,
I'll definitely beat him up. Seeing Long Yang so happy, the blue-haired man was also excited as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He was naturally the young patriarch.
Really?
However, at this moment, a figure mysteriously appeared and blocked in front of them. His appearance was without warning, like a god descending to the mortal world. Even the burly man only noticed after the fact.
Lin Ling.
Staring at the man's appearance, Long Yang's body trembled, then she laughed excitedly. Looking at the blue-haired man, his face was a little pale. He never thought that he would meet the person he wanted to brag about. The burly man was also surprised. The corner of his eyes kept twitching, and he was so embarrassed that he couldn't speak.
Lin Ling, I thought you were dead. I didn't expect you to appear here.
However, you just crawled out from the ground. Don't tell me you've been hiding underground all this time.
Suddenly, Long Yang laughed sinisterly.
Her laughter was filled with endless sarcasm.
You have a problem with that.
Lin Ling also laughed.
Naturally, he could see that Long Yang's strength had increased. If it was in the past, he would be surprised.
However, ever since he found out that Long Yang was also a host body of the world's will, he was used to it. No wonder Long Yang could become the #1 genius after him. It turned out that Long Yang's origin was not simple. Lin Ling's evaluation of Long Yang had always been very high. Because Long Yang was also the genius who was the closest to him among the countless geniuses that Lin Ling had defeated. Moreover, she was still a genius who had not been eliminated.
I don't have a problem with that.
I just feel that you, Lei Gong, have declined so much that you need to hide underground and drag out an ignoble existence. Long Yang said lightly, as if she was venting out all the depression that she had accumulated over the years. She could not wait to step on Lin Ling's face and say to him high and mighty, "Now, who is more powerful?
You, Lin Ling, are you convinced?"
She even looked forward to seeing Lin Ling's worshipful eyes, kneeling under her skirt.
Just thinking about it made her happy.
Lin Ling also stared at her indifferently.
He instantly knew what she was thinking.
He could not help but shake his head. He knew that Long Yang's beautiful dream was about to come to nothing.
Do you think I'm the kind of person who drags out an ignoble existence?
Lin Ling said.
Lin Ling, stop pretending. A year ago, you did not enter the sacred mountain. Now, you have entered the sacred mountain.
However, those who were weaker than you a year ago are now several times stronger than you.
You must be regretting it now.
Lin Ling, I have known you for too long. I know that you are the kind of person who refuses to lose face. Therefore you must be pretending now.
Alas, why be so stubborn? The current you can't even defeat the junior patriarch. You have already set the sun in the west.
Long Yang pointed at Lin Ling and said. She even almost pointed at Lin Ling's nose to reprimand him.
I can't compare to that trash. Hearing this, Lin Ling was startled.
He also stared at the junior patriarch.
The junior patriarch's face was pale.
Bragging, bragging, bragging.
However, he could not bring himself to admit defeat in front of a peerless beauty.
The burly man's eyes were also twitching.
He was the patriarch of the Ox Demon clan. He could only feel helpless in front of Long Yang's words. This was because Lin Ling was a god who killed the old pagoda tree. He was inferior to his own son?
This was the biggest joke in the world. However, he had already bragged, so he had to continue bragging.
That's right. Lei Gong Lin Ling. Can you compare to me? I'll give you 3 moves. You're no match for me. If you know what's good for you, leave now and I'll spare your life.
The junior patriarch braced himself and continued to brag.
Seeing this, Lin Ling laughed. He shook his head and laughed. You're amazing. I'm convinced. He was too lazy to argue with the junior patriarch. He turned around and left. Thank you, thank you.
Seeing this, the junior patriarch was so excited that he almost rushed over to hug Lin Ling and give him a big kiss.
He wanted to call him Big Brother. This was because Lin Ling had given him too much face.
Wait. However, Long Yang said, Lin Ling, if you want to leave, you can.
First, you can leave on your knees. Second, you can attack the junior patriarch 3 times. If you can force the junior patriarch to take a step back, we'll let you leave. You can choose between the 2. Choose one of the 2?
Long Yang, are you crazy? Hearing this, Lin Ling was stunned again.
The junior patriarch was tongue-tied. Chapter 4480. Previously, Lin Ling was very cooperative and planned to leave. As long as he left, the young patriarch's bragging would not be exposed. But who knew that the one who stopped Lin Ling was Longyang? Young patriarch, what do you think? Yes. At this time, Longyang looked at the young patriarch and said. The latter was about to cry. You've already spoken, how can I say no? So he also nodded. If you think this is a humiliation to you, then you can give Lin Ling 10 moves. Longyang said again. Me. Yes. The young patriarch pointed at himself and then pointed at Lin Ling. Give me 10 moves? Yes. 3 moves are not enough. 10 moves? Do you want Lin Ling to kill me? It's okay. With your strength, maybe he won't be your opponent even if you give him 100 or 1,000 moves. Yes. Longyang said with incomparable certainty. Back at the sacred mountain, although Lin Ling defeated the young patriarch, she could see that Lin Ling used all his strength. Now the young patriarch's strength had increased a lot, and should be much stronger than Lin Ling. Lin Ling, the young patriarch is someone who lost to me. If you can't even win against him, you should postpone our battle. I'm not an unreasonable person, I can give you time. Yes. Thinking of this, Longyang also looked at Lin Ling and said. When she said this, her heart was incomparably carefree. All along, Lin Ling had rewarded her a lot. Now, she finally proudly rewarded Lin Ling. Longyang, I don't know what's wrong with you, and where does your confidence come from? Yes. Hearing this, Lin Ling shook his head. He could not help it. Ha. Yes. Longyang looked up to the sky and laughed. She had the heroic spirit of a woman. Lin Ling, you don't need to find excuses. After all, you and I have known each other for so many years. How can I not know what kind of person you are? If you are so confident, why don't you dare to fight the young clan leader? Then she looked at the young patriarch and said, Young patriarch, am I right? This yes. The young patriarch's forehead was already dripping with cold sweat. He hoped that Lin Ling would take the initiative to admit defeat once again, to give him a chance to show off in front of the beauty. All right. However, Lin Ling couldn't back down. He looked at the junior patriarch and said, Junior patriarch, are you sure you'll give me 10 moves? Me. The young patriarch was scared and panicked. I'm sure. However, Longyang agreed on his behalf because she also wanted to see how strong Lin Ling was. Then prepare yourself. I will use 70% of my strength. Lin Ling nodded and walked over step by step. 70%? That's not very good. The young patriarch had a feeling that he couldn't even block half of Lin Ling's strength. However, just as he was panicking, Longyang had already spoken up for him. 70%, that's not good. If you have the ability, give me 120%. Puff. The young patriarch almost fainted. This pretentious act was a little too fierce. Young patriarch, you have to be careful. At this time, Lin Ling had already made his move. Ferocious divine origin rolled out. It seemed that he didn't hold back. Then he pounced forward. He wanted to draw his sword, but in the end, it turned into a punch and blasted out. Boom. Seeing that Lin Ling was serious, even if the young patriarch was really afraid, he couldn't wait to be captured. He roared and transformed into the demonic ox. He took a step forward, and under the violent tremors of the earth, he charged towards Lin Ling. Rumble. However, after colliding with Lin Ling's fist, an unprecedented force was transmitted. The huge demonic ox was blasted away, and it was simply unstoppable. Bang, bang, bang. It was as if a mountain was rolling on the ground. It bounced a few times on the ground and flew thousands of miles high. It bounced further and further, and gradually disappeared from everyone's sight. At this time, the 72 cave masters were dumbfounded. Longyang was also dumbfounded. Obviously, they didn't know Lin Ling's strength. On the contrary, the ox demon patriarch's face was very ugly. He roared, Lei Gong, he is my son. How can you be so ruthless? Previously, he thought that Lin Ling would be merciful. In the end, Lin Ling was not polite at all. With one punch, his son was sent flying to the horizon. Most importantly, he was beaten in front of him. He said that he would let me have 10 moves. If I don't use my full strength, it will be a humiliation to him. Lin Ling looked indifferently at the Ox Demon Patriarch and said,
"You still have a reason."
The Ox Demon Patriarch was enraged. He took a step forward, and flames came out of his nostrils. He turned into a huge black cloud.
If one looked carefully, it was not a black cloud, but a demonic ox that was even more ferocious than the young patriarch. He erupted with all his strength, and fiercely crashed into Lin Ling.
Pop, pop, pop. A terrifying demonic aura rushed to the sky, causing the sky to tremble as if it was being grabbed by a hand. That terrifying aura immediately sent Longyang and the other demons flying. Their faces changed greatly. "Lin Ling, be careful," Longyang subconsciously shouted. She obviously didn't expect things to turn out like this. The Ox Demon Patriarch personally attacked Lin Ling, and Lin Ling defeated the young patriarch in one move. Although this surprised her, he dared to provoke the Ox Demon Patriarch.
Innately, she thought it was impossible.
After all, the Ox Demon Patriarch was an ancient figure who gave Eugene and the others headaches. Bang, bang, bang. After the Ox Demon Patriarch transformed into an ox demon, his body trembled, and endless black demonic oxen rushed out. These demonic oxen ran wildly along the ground, and violently rushed towards Lin Ling. When Lin Ling was chased by the demonic oxen in the 72 caves, it was because of these demonic oxen. However, that was back then. The current Lin Ling was not afraid of these demonic oxen. His hand reached behind him, and quietly grasped the sword hilt. Then, the Tyrant Song sword appeared in Lin Ling's hand. He then muttered to himself, "Third stage." The Ox Demon Patriarch was very strong, so Lin Ling did not hide his strength anymore. However, compared to the majestic aura of the Ox Demon Clan's Patriarch, Lin Ling and his sword seemed somewhat insignificant.
"Lin Ling, why are you still not running?"
Such a scene also caused Longyang to clench her teeth and curse. She did not want Lin Ling to die here, because she had yet to take revenge. If she had known that Lin Ling was so strong, she would not have let that trash junior patriarch provoke Lin Ling, otherwise today's matter would not have happened. Boom.
However, just as she finished speaking, Lin Ling had already made his move.
His sword slashed horizontally, and the demonic oxen on the ground were all killed by the sword, disappearing into the sea of blood. In the blink of an eye, Lin Ling appeared in front of the demonic oxen again. In his palm, a dazzling purple chi bloomed. Purple Bodhi Vairocana. Boundless Tathagata of the Four Directions. Without using the Tyrant Song sword, Lin Ling ruthlessly slapped out with his palm. On his body, a 5-colored Bodhi light appeared, turning him into a Vajra Buddha god. Boom. That palm contained 40,000 units of godly power. This was the ultimate godly power after fusing with the third phase talent. That palm also contained 5 million units of divine energy. When the palm landed on the head of the demonic ox, it was as if it had hit a bronze bell, causing countless echoes. Then, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the patriarch of the Demon Ox clan shook his huge head unceasingly, letting out a low and deep sound. Chapter 4481. What? Longyang immediately covered her mouth with her small hand, her beautiful eyes wide open. Lin Ling had actually injured the Ox Demon Patriarch with one punch. One must know that the Ox Demon Patriarch was the #1 king of the Ox Cave. His strength was even stronger than the Kurishin. Countless gods were shaken during the Battle of the Divine Mountain. But now, Lin Ling no longer feared him? Ox Demon Patriarch, you also want to give me 10 moves? At this moment, Lin Ling was domineering and magnificent in the sky. He didn't use the Tyrant Song sword, but like the Vajra Bodhi demon subduing demon, he turned his fist into a palm and continuously struck out. Boom, 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 boom. Looking at the Ox Demon Clan's patriarch, he was clearly caught unprepared. Although he knew that Lin Ling was very strong, he didn't expect that Lin Ling would be so strong. How could he know that not only did Lin Ling have 2 mid-god divine embryos, but even the Vajra Bodhi had reached the 9th grade. Moreover, this divine embryo was innately more powerful than the 2 divine embryos of the wraith jellyfish. After all, the chaotic body and the wraith jellyfish only increased the physical strength. But the Vajra Bodhi had increased in all aspects. He's become so strong. Damn it, he's at least 10 times stronger than me.
Longyang stared at the gray-robed figure in the sky, her fists tightly clenched. To be able to suppress a god, Longyang naturally knew what kind of strength Linling possessed. Ironically, Longyang thought that her strength had greatly increased and that she could suppress Linling. But your grandpa will always be your grandpa. You're still as strong as ever. Lei Gong, that's enough. At this moment, the Ox Demon Patriarch roared, as if thoroughly enraged. He raised his head to the sky and roared. Terrifying sound waves erupted, directly causing the 72 cave masters to vomit blood and crash to the ground. Still want to come? Linling, floating in the sky, ignored the sound waves and said indifferently. He also knew that the Ox Demon Patriarch hadn't used his full strength. Otherwise, Linling wouldn't be able to suppress him so easily in a life-and-death battle. Of course, in a life-and-death battle, Linling also had the ability to imprint this Ox Demon Patriarch and kill him. However, although he had a small grudge with the Ox Demon Patriarch, it couldn't be considered a life-and-death grudge. I fought against the deities not long ago, so I'm still injured. I'll fight you next time. Let's go. The Ox Demon Patriarch spoke in humans' words, his heart. If the Ox Demon Patriarch didn't use his full strength. Otherwise the Ox Demon Patriarch would most probably wouldn't face. Or in the future. That calm tone and emotionless eyes were like endless mockery in Longyang's heart. He was mocking her for overestimating herself and mocking her complacency. Longyang opened her mouth, but didn't dare to speak in the end. You're one of the hosts of the world's will. Your future is limitless. If I fight you to the death now, I'll be taking advantage of you. I'll give you some time. Come and fight me when you're stronger. However, the next time you want to fight on your own. Letting some trash test me will only make it more embarrassing. Linling also knew Longyang's thoughts. Therefore, after leaving these words, he turned into a rainbow and flew away. Longyang stood there quietly. Her white jade-like face turned red. I'm going to die of embarrassment. I'm going to die of embarrassment. This hateful guy must have deliberately embarrassed me before. Damn it, damn it. She stomped her feet and gnashed her teeth. However, how did he know that I'm the host of the world's will? Then, she slowly walked forward. Suddenly, she felt that Linling was very scary because she thought that she was the only one who knew this secret. However, Linling didn't say a word, but it was as if he had everything under his control. Since the spirit province back then, you've always controlled me all the way to the final world, and then to the current divine realm. However, in the future, I'll definitely break away from your control. Longyang thought to herself. Her desire to become stronger became even stronger. Longyang is getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, Linling was walking back the way he came. When he thought of Longyang, who he had met earlier, his heart felt a little heavy. He had a feeling that Longyang had probably obtained a powerful divine fetus. Moreover, it was very likely that she had the divine steps. Moreover, Linling had traveled all over the world, but he had never seen Longyang. This also meant that Longyang had probably entered a secret realm and obtained great benefits there. What a hard-working woman. However, Linling also had some admiration for Longyang. Relying on herself, she continued to become stronger and gradually gained a foothold in this era. This was because he knew very well that Longyang was comparing herself to him. However, her speed of growth had surprised even Linling. Therefore, if Longyang was compared to others, there were probably not many who could compare to her. What golden dragon of light? What saint progenitor? None of them could compare to her. Including Luli Empress. Not long after, the 72 caves appeared in front of him, and Linling went straight in, weaving in and out of the dark caves. Who are you? There were many powerful demons hidden in the caves. When they sensed Linling quickly passing by, they immediately showed hostility. Get lost. Linling released his aura. The caves instantly fell silent. The demons sensed that the newcomer was very strong. It was probably a god who could change the heavens and defy fate. Compared to the time when Linling came, he could be said to be running amok now. When he came alone, Linling also avoided some powerful demons. Only when he was with Grandpa Treasure God and the others did he dare to run amok. After a while, Linling rushed through 72 caves and then shot towards the valley. Now that the stone tablet that recorded the will of the world has been destroyed, the gods should have started to retreat. There should be no problem at the small valley.
Lin Ling secretly guessed.
However, after passing through the endless forest, the small valley also appeared in front of him. However, rolling smoke covered the entire valley, making it very mysterious. Moreover, a huge corpse was lying on the ground. It was the pangolin in the valley.
What? Seeing this, Lin Ling's expression changed greatly. He quickly rushed over.
When he reached the pangolin's side, he realized that the pangolin was not dead. However, it was seriously injured and could die at any time.
Hold on!
Lin Ling quickly shouted to the pangolin. Then, he took out the jade cicada true liquid and poured 3 drops into the pangolin's mouth. The emerald liquid flowed slowly and quietly into the pangolin's body. Gradually, the pangolin opened its eyes. Its eyes, which were originally filled with anger, finally softened after seeing Lin Ling.
Chapter 4482.
It turned out that 2 groups of experts had arrived not long ago. They had set up a formation in the valley, trapping the people in the formation. Moreover, they were constantly attacking the people in the formation, causing everyone to be severely injured.
How could this be?
Lin Ling frowned. Logically speaking, after the stone tablet was destroyed, the gods should have left. Why would they come to the valley? Moreover, Emperor God Zhang Gang, Young Lin, and the others were all here. Ordinary gods should not be able to take advantage of them. Taking a step back, even if the gods were only looking for him, Lin Ling, they should not know the location of the valley.
Oh no, it's the immortal spirit nation.
Suddenly, Lin Ling guessed something. Because only the immortal spirit nation had come to the valley and knew the location of Lei Gong's palace. Then, Lin Ling raised his head and stared at the hazy fog in front of him. He instantly knew that it was a kind of formation. Moreover, this formation was very ancient. Even Lin Ling could not see through it. Enter the formation. Then, Lin Ling made a decision.
GG.
However, the pangolin made a sound and stopped Lin Ling from entering the formation. Lil Kunlun expressed the pangolin's meaning again. It said that this formation was very scary. Those who entered the formation could not distinguish between friend and foe, and could not break out of the formation. Moreover, there were many powerful existences in the formation. The pangolin was able to escape because it had dug to the deepest part of the ground. That was why it was able to escape. However, it was still injured by the formation's power. What the pangolin means is that the experts of the immortal spirit nation are all in the formation.
Lin Ling frowned slightly.
However, he was even more determined to enter the formation. He guessed that the formation's foundation was most likely in the formation. This meant that outside the formation, unless one's Tao of spirit formation had reached a heaven-defying level, it would be impossible to break it. This formation is probably a combination of attack, defense, and trap. It also has an illusion formation inside. That's why everyone can't distinguish between friend and foe. The immortal spirit kingdom has no hegemony. You provoked me, Lin Ling. I will not rest until you are dead. Lin Ling was completely enraged. Even though Grand Mage Numinous Treasures Group had been killed by Lei Gong, this was the result of repeatedly provoking Lin Ling. And now, the immortal spirit nation actually dared to provoke them. Did they think that their Lei Gong hall was made of paper? Lei Gong said that there is an ancient god in the void of the 9 states. One of them is the immortal spirit nation, and the other is the divine ruler of the 10 orthodoxies. Now I want to see how powerful they are. Lin Ling walked into the dense fog in the distance.
GG.
At this time, the pangolin had mostly recovered and immediately ran over, wanting to carry Lin Ling into the array formation. Lin Ling leaped onto the pangolin and rode it into the fog. Someone entered the formation. At this moment, on a mountain peak that reached the clouds, an old man with a fox's mouth and monkey's cheeks sat cross-legged on the ground. He wore an ancient Taoist robe and held a whisk in his hand. He had the demeanor of an immortal. He lightly waved the whisk in his hand. When he saw the pangolin enter the formation, he was immediately delighted. This Lei Gong has returned. He couldn't help but chuckle.
Whoosh!
A tall and sturdy figure rose from the hazy ground like an ambitious and ruthless person. Every step he took caused the sky to explode. It was as though thunder had struck the ground.
Lei Gong has returned? His voice was deep and resounding like a gong or drum.
Earlier, I saw him enter my heaven-seizing good fortune grand formation. The old man with a fox's mouth on the mountain peak suddenly laughed.
Haha, this thunder god is truly reckless. He clearly knows that the grand formation of the life-borrowing orthodoxy is difficult to deal with.
It defies the heavens and can control the universe, yet he actually dares to enter the formation.
This is perfect. Last time when he seized the stone tablet, many people guessed that it was him. Although the stone tablet was destroyed, he was the first to obtain it. Although the stone tablet was stolen, he must have known about it.
The ambitious and ruthless man laughed heartily.
Xian Wu Ba, although this thunder god is new, he is quite famous in the four palaces.
His strength is almost comparable to that of a god.
At first, I thought he was someone important, but now it seems that he doesn't live up to his reputation. Those who achieve great things don't care about trifles.
He rashly entered the formation.
Entering the formation will consign him to eternal damnation.
The old man laughed.
Humph, a mere nouveau riche. He thinks that he is a god just because he got some opportunities.
Humph, he doesn't know that to us gods, even if he is half a god, he is still not a god. He only knows how to bully other gods.
What's the use of killing so many? They are just embroidered pillows.
Xian Wuba said disdainfully. He didn't put Lei Gong in his eyes at all.
Of course he can't be compared to you, Xian Wuba. However, if you want him to reveal the secret of the stone tablet, sometimes using overbearing means won't work. Now that he has entered my formation, I will use my formation to torture him.
The old man smiled confidently. His mouse-like mouth twitched slightly as he chuckled, looking very comical.
That's great. A mere local god is qualified to fight against ancient gods like us.
Xian Wuba nodded. At this moment, in the misty great formation, Lin Ling rode on the pangolin and scanned the surroundings with his soul power.
This spirit formation is very extraordinary. After quietly inspecting it, Lin Ling was even more shocked. Up until now, he still couldn't find any trace of the formation.
This meant that the formation was hidden very deeply. Looking around, he should have appeared in the surroundings of the small valley. However, he discovered that it was a world of its own, as if it was vast and boundless. In the hazy mist, he could faintly see tall mountains, as if giants were hidden in the distance. Not to mention his vision, even the range of his soul power's detection was not large.
Kill. At this moment, a ray of light came out of nowhere.
This ray of light was like ripples, and within the ripples was a fist.
Middle stage lower deity strength. Lin Ling instantly determined the opponent's strength and also punched back.
Boom. This punch caused the ripples to explode, and even the sound of bones breaking could be heard in the air, followed by a miserable scream.
However, just as Lin Ling wanted to follow up with another attack, the person disappeared. Using the Great Formation's help, Lin Ling's face was somewhat gloomy.
The person from before was obviously not strong, but with the help of the formation's concealment, Lin Ling could no longer find any trace of him.
So strong. This Lin Ling is indeed a god. Be careful, don't let him catch you. On the other side of the Great Formation, several men in Taoist robes were talking. They were the ones who attacked Lin Ling earlier. They didn't expect that such a sneak attack would be useless against Lin Ling.
One must know that they had borrowed the power of the formation to increase their strength.
Chapter 4483. However, Lin Ling did not manage to kill a single one. Every time Lin Ling wanted to chase after them, the barrier would hide them and prevent Lin Ling from finding any trace of them. What a powerful formation! Lin Ling had undoubtedly witnessed the ferocity of a formation once again. Die! At this moment, another attack came. A terrifying fiery wind and fiery rain came, and it was mixed with the power of the steps of God. Oh no! Lin Ling's expression changed slightly, and he jumped up. He did not want to be a burden to the pangolin because he sensed that the attack this time was no small matter. It was more than 100 times more powerful than the previous ones. Sword come. Lin Ling unleashed his full strength. The third stage of the talent fusion, the tyrant song sword in his hand. Whoosh! The tyrannical blood sea still gushed out and collided with the fiery wind and fiery rain in mid-air. The two ferocious forces continued to fight.
Lin Ling's blood sea was slightly stronger and began to suppress the fiery wind and fiery rain. The surrounding fog was also blown away. This time, Lin Ling finally saw the person. However, to Lin Ling's surprise, the person was actually a young girl. Similarly, the young girl was also looking at Lin Ling in shock, as if she was surprised by Lin Ling's strength.
Seal.
Lin Ling sensed that his sword could not completely kill the opponent, so he also activated the Steps of Wisdom. The Steps of Wisdom was no small matter now. It was Lin Ling's strongest sealing technique, and together with Split the Heavens, it was Lin Ling's ultimate trump card. The power of the formation obviously could not stop the Steps of Wisdom. Therefore, although the person was not sealed, their strength was greatly suppressed.
Opportunity.
Lin Ling immediately used Split the Heavens to destroy this powerhouse. After all, if such a powerhouse did not die and hid in the dark to attack, Lin Ling would definitely be in endless trouble. This powerhouse was not the same as the trash from before. However, just as Lin Ling's palm was about to strike down, his pupils suddenly trembled violently. Because of the seal of the Steps of Wisdom, he was able to clearly see who it was. It was an old man, not a young girl at all. Most importantly, this old man was the treasure god of Nanwu Fengyu. Grandpa Treasure God. Lin Ling forcefully withdrew Split the Heavens and slashed the palm to the other side, splitting the entire sky and earth apart.
Lin Ling.
Then the old man's voice, but at this time, the seal of the Steps of Wisdom disappeared, so the old man turned back into a young girl.
Who are you?
Almost at the same time, two voices floated out at the same time. One of them was Lin Ling's voice. Why has your wind and rain divine origin become fire? Lin Ling, your sword of slaughter has also become underworld element. Then the two voices sounded again, and then there was silence. Lin Ling's eyes flickered as he stared at the young girl in the mist, afraid that he would be affected by the illusion. However, he believed in his Steps of Wisdom, because even if the formation could deceive him, the Steps of Wisdom would not. This meant that the old man sealed by the Steps of Wisdom was indeed the treasure god of Nanwu Fengyu.
You're the fake Lin Ling Dai.
However, the other party was not as sure as Lin Ling and wanted to attack again.
Grandpa Treasure God, it's me.
With no other choice, Lin Ling could only use the Steps of Wisdom again to block the formation's influence. The treasure god of Nanwu Fengyu, who was sealed in the Steps of Wisdom, saw Lin Ling again, so he stopped attacking, but his face was full of confusion. Grandpa Treasure God, this is the effect of the formation's illusion. Right now, I'm using my soul force, so I can temporarily block the formation's influence. You should know how strong my soul force is. That seems to be the case, but why have you become an old man? Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu didn't understand. Lin Ling smiled bitterly and explained, the formation distorted our appearances, and even distorted the power we used. It deceived all of us, and its goal was to make us kill each other. Such a powerful formation, it can even deceive me. For safety's sake, I used the eye seal of the Wisdom Fist. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu said in shock. This formation is indeed powerful. I'm afraid only an ancient great god could set it up. Right, other than that bastard country, who else is here? Lin Ling seized the opportunity to ask. There's also someone called the 10 Gates Orthodoxy. I think it's called Borrow Life Orthodoxy. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu said immediately. It seems like there are two ancient great gods. Their goal should be the stone tablet. Grandpa Treasure God, don't leave my side. No matter what happens, don't pay attention to it. I will think of a way to break the formation. Lin Ling saw that the Stare of Wisdom was quickly disappearing, so he cut to the chase. All right. However, this formation is very difficult to break. I've heard that it's called the Great Formation of Heavenly Fortune Seizing Fate. It borrows the will of the heavens from the era of the gods to set up this formation. Back in the era of the gods, this formation killed over 1 billion gods. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu said, and his appearance began to change. I'll find a way. Lin Ling nodded. He was shocked by the ruthlessness of the Borrow Life Orthodoxy, setting up such a formation to make them kill each other. If he hadn't been cautious and used the Stare of Wisdom, he would have killed Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu with Split the Heavens. But the most important thing now was to break the formation. With my current level of formation Dao, it'll be very difficult to break this formation. That Borrow Life Orthodoxy's formation Dao has surpassed the Purple Mark Sovereign Cloak, and its method is from the ancient era. Lin Ling muttered to himself. He was getting more and more anxious, because the longer he delayed, the more danger Yu and the others would be in.
Don't worry, Yu and the others are temporarily gathered together. Although they can't recognize each other, they won't act recklessly. But there are other enemies in this formation. If they act, Yu and the others won't be able to distinguish between friend and foe. What I'm most afraid of is that they won't resist and allow the enemies to do as they wish. Kill them. Treasure god Nan Wu Fengyu, who had turned into a delicate girl, said in a crisp voice. Wait for me. Lin Ling couldn't think of a way, so he could only place his hopes on the Four Directions prison.
He immediately set up a formation and entered the prison.
Then, a jade slip appeared in his hand, and he began to check it. This prison imprisoned ancient characters from the ancient era, so there might be powerful formation masters here. So many. However, with a sweep of his gaze, Lin Ling was shocked because there were actually several thousand world spiritists there. Furthermore, there were several hundred powerful world spiritist deities. I don't believe that with so many ancient gods here, there won't be one who can't break this formation. Lin Ling was looking forward to it. After breaking the formation, he would definitely teach those 10 orthodoxies a lesson. Then his gaze locked onto an ancient formation god, and he strode over. Chapter 4484. Don't kill him. I want to know about the steal from him. Xian Wuba said indifferently as he floated in the sky.
Don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
The old man nodded with a smile and said confidently, when he's exhausted from the torture, I don't have to look for him, he'll look for us. At that time, he'll regret it because he's actually killed his own family and friends. As the two of them were chatting, Lin Ling was walking around the prison. After a long time, he stopped in front of a prison cell. A middle-aged man was standing inside. He was wearing a clean Taoist robe and holding a brush in his hand. He was painting. Yong Luosheng, the grand disciple of the true Lord of Tao and Virtue. Because he was slandered, he was sent to prison for eternity. Lin Ling said calmly as he stood there. Haha, Lord Prison Master, I already know about that. There's no need for you to mention it. The middle-aged man was not surprised by Lin Ling's appearance. He was still painting.
Lin Ling cursed in his heart.
Were all these ancient deities so difficult to deal with? It would appear that they'd been imprisoned for too long and had lost their minds. Do you know about the life-stealing fortune great formation? Lin Ling asked again. I do. Lord Prison Master, what advice do you have for me? I want you to teach me this formation. What do you think? Haha, sure. If Lord Prison Master is willing to come, I'll teach you all of my spirit formation Tao. The middle-aged man stopped painting and looked at Lin Ling indifferently. His eyes were flickering with light. Lin Ling's eyes also shone. He'd seen Yong Luosheng's jade slip before. However, there weren't many records. This meant that Yong Luosheng didn't have any wishes, nor did he have a successor. Likely, he didn't want to take a break. As for entering the prison, that was obviously impossible. With the strength of an ancient deity, he could easily kill Lin Ling and seize Lord Prison Master's identity. Lord Prison Master, although you've hidden it very well, I have a feeling that you're in a very urgent situation. There are many spirit formation experts in this prison. However, I'm the only one most familiar with the life-stealing fortune great formation. Thus, other than me, you won't be able to find anyone else to help you. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man smiled. You have guts. Lin Ling nodded. His eyebrows twitched, and a great calamity descended from the prison. These great tribulations were incomparably terrifying. They were specially prepared for those stubborn villains. The great calamity was also divided into 6 levels. The most powerful great calamity could even kill the prisoners. Even the ancient gods would not be able to escape death. However, Lin Ling had only summoned the 3rd grade prison tribulation. Ah! The middle-aged man was also trembling from the raging flames. On the surface, he didn't seem to be injured, but his internal organs had already given birth to divine flames that continued to burn his body. This divine flame was like the devil flame that was born from the heart's devil. What a tyrannical Lord Prison! The middle-aged man clenched his teeth and said, You can torture me all you want, but if you want me to tell you about the heaven-seizing fortune array, you're dreaming. My lord, Yong Luosheng is also an ancient great god. In the past, he was not afraid of millions of celestial soldiers and celestial generals. If you torture him like this, he won't compromise. Haha, those who can appear on this level are all extremely powerful people. Humiliation won't have much effect on us.
The voices of the prisoners also came from the side of the prison.
Whoever spouts any more nonsense will end up like Yong Luosheng, Lin Ling said coldly without looking at the prisoners.
He knew very well that when facing these ancient great gods, he had to be more dignified and domineering than them. Otherwise, they would take the opportunity to rise to the top and be harder to control.
How arrogant! The prisoners around them all gritted their teeth, but they also fell silent. Although they hated Lin Ling to death, they all knew that it was not wise to go head-on against the prison warden. Lin Ling looked at Yong Luosheng indifferently and found that the latter was very stubborn. Even though he was trembling from the humiliation, he did not compromise at all.
Of course, although he did not compromise in his heart, he still put on a fawning expression.
My lord prison, please spare me. What's the point of punishing me like this? I'll call you lord. I'll kneel before you. He kept begging for mercy, but he did not point out the way to break the array. You are very stubborn. Fine, I'll spare you today. Lin Ling nodded and turned to leave. Yong Luosheng finally let out a sigh of relief. Previously, he saw that Lin Ling was not strong, so he wanted to put on airs in front of Lin Ling. But who knew that Lin Ling was very experienced in doing things? He was unmoved by force or persuasion.
Moreover, he was temperamental and did not give face when he wanted to. This made him realize that a very troublesome lord had arrived in this prison.
Crackle, crackle. However, when Yong Luosheng thought that he had passed the tribulation, Lin Ling suddenly turned around and walked back. He formed seals with his hands and used the prison tribulation to punish Yong Luosheng again. This time, not only did Yong Luosheng's internal organs, but even his soul was struck by lightning. It wreaked havoc, causing him to spit out foam and his face to distort. I'm suddenly in a bad mood, so I want to torture you again, Lin Ling said coldly as he stood in front of the prison cell.
After he finished speaking, he finally turned around and left.
Fuck. Yong Luosheng was stunned for a long time before he finally spat out a sentence. Temperamental. Temperamental. He was a dignified ancient great god. In the past, he was also a figure who dominated a region. Now, he was like a tiger in a plain, being bullied by a dog.
It should be known that if it was in the past, even a god with the strength of Lin Ling would have to kneel down when he met him. Damn it, damn it.
After a while, the raging energy in Yong Luosheng's body disappeared. He lay on the ground, spitting out blood, and his trembling fists smashing the ground. The situation is not up to us. Yong Luosheng, just bear with it for now. Yes, although that kid is not strong, he has a chicken feather as an arrow. We can't do anything about it. Comforting voices came from the surrounding prison cells. I know. I just hope that kid doesn't come looking for me again. There are so many people in this prison. I hope that he will find someone else next time.
Yong Luosheng replied gloomily.
Hee, Yong Luosheng, how does it taste?
However, just as he finished speaking, a figure was standing in front of the prison door with a faint smile on his face.
Who else could it be but Lin Ling? You. Seeing Lin Ling walking back, Yong Luosheng was frightened. Lin Ling was really too temperamental. He raised his hand in front of him and waved it continuously, saying, Don't torture me anymore, don't torture me anymore. I'm here this time because I suddenly felt that I went too far previously. I feel sorry in my heart, so I brought you a pot of wine.
Lin Ling smiled and a pot of wine appeared in his hand. Then, he threw it into the prison cell.
Wine. Looking at the wine pot on the ground, Yong Luosheng's body trembled.
He rushed over and opened the lid of the wine pot.
After taking a light sniff, his whole body felt comfortable. Then he carefully licked it. After taking a light lick, he couldn't help but let out a carefree sound. This was because he couldn't remember how many years it had been since he last drank wine. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.